To order at 6:03 p.m. We'll begin with roll call. Our Deputy City Clerk, can you please?
Council members, Commissioners Elias,
Here.
Camacho,
Here.
Lara,
Here.
Lutz,
Present.
Mayor President Dr. Sanchez.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. We're going to start with the invocation. I have requested our Parks Commissioner, Jacob Rodriguez, if you can please step to the podium. Everyone, please rise.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. God, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make these decisions that might affect the community of Pico Rivera, and continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. And we have here, you may remain standing. We have for the flag salute, Fred Cermeno, the Communications Director for Senator Bob Archuleta's office.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everyone, place your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. City Manager, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, item 5 and 27 pulling.
Thank you. This evening, we also...
Item 23, I'm sorry, correction.
Item 5 and 23. This evening, we have 3 special presentations, recognition of some special individuals, residents from our city. First, I would like to recognize a friend and a colleague, Armando Olivas. He is the Executive Director of Labor Community Services of the LA County Federation of Labor, AFL-CIO. This certificate is presented in recognition for receiving the Dan Foley Outstanding Labor Leader Award for your dedication in working in the community. So I wanted to share, Armando has worked over 14 years with AFL-CIO. He's a proud resident, and he was the initial impetus for our community food distributions. That's how I initially started working with Armando. We had the largest food distribution in our city, and we had several labor leaders come and serve food to anyone and everyone that needed it. We didn't ask any questions of what their religion, what their income was, we didn't ask about their needs. We just knew that everyone needed food. And he was one of the ones that helped us to secure the food, the volunteers, and we opened up Smith Park, and we had thousands and thousands and thousands of residents that were served who were in need. So I want to thank all of the volunteers, and I especially want to thank Armando with this special recognition. If you can come up, please. I know you have full resume more. All of us first.
Yes, we'll do everyone. Put the mics down. Okay, one step. There we go. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna come snap you really quick.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless. Thank you. God bless.
Just leave my chair because we have more. Two more. Okay, we have two more. So my second one, I'm going to call up Jacob Rodriguez. Jacob has been a Parks Commissioner for 3 years. He's a graduate of El Rancho High School. He ran for the El Rancho Unified School Board. Although he wasn't successful, he shortly after was appointed to the Parks Commission and has been a great volunteer for the city. He is going to be moving on to pursue his JD at Chapman University. And we want to congratulate him and thank him for his 3 years of service and lots of dedication to our city.
And if you guys can move. There we go. One, two, three. One, two, three. And then I'll just take one with you by yourself.
I wanted to point out that Mr. Rodriguez is one of my students. He's one of the great students. In fact, what I did was I committed him that after he finishes law school, he has to come back and work here.
Ready? One, two, three. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our third certificate that I'd like to present is to a very important young man that I've known for many years, since he was a young man, Joseph Anthony Palombi. Joseph Palombi is currently, yep, let me read a little bit about him. Joseph is currently on active duty as second lieutenant in the United States Army. He's been a lifelong resident of Pico Rivera. He attended Rivera Elementary School, same as my son, St. Hilary Middle School, same as my son, and John Bosco High School. He is graduated now in May of 2021 as military from the United States Military West Point Military Academy. Pico Rivera present.
Ready? One, two, three. One, two, three. And I'll just get one. Do you want your family to come up?
Sure, why not?
Brought the whole tribe today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then council, did you want to join the family?
Yes.
Sure.
All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Actually, yes, I would think so. Sorry, I got to say a few words. I'd like to thank everybody in the city of Pico Rivera for really creating an environment where I can grow up. And honestly, my whole family was motivated to choose different routes of public service. So myself, my sisters, both serve the public. And it's because I've had many great examples, past council members. And I would also like to thank the current council for what you're doing to improve the city and create those examples for kids in the future to choose public service. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, and I want to give a shout out as well that, we have one more certificate, don't go yet, from our Senator Bob Archuleta. Unfortunately, he could not be present, he's in Sacramento working for us, but he was a former mayor, and we have one more surprise, a special certificate of recognition. Joseph was announced on the Army-Navy game last year as being the company commander from Pico Rivera, California, on national TV for the first time ever. So he's bringing big recognition. We have good things going on in Pico Rivera.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm just going to say something real quick on behalf of Senator Bob Archuleta. He would have loved to be here. Senator is a great friend of the family. They've been with the senator for many years, ever since he took office here in the city of Pico Rivera. The Palomi family was always there. Great to see Hope Community here in the house. But this goes to Joseph in recognition of your graduation from United States Military Academy at West Point, class of 2022. Having majored in American political science as a company commander for the Alpha Company 2nd Regiment, I congratulate you and thank you on your commitment to serve our great country and wish you success in your future and in your military career as a field artillery school at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Thank you and congratulations. There we go.
We take one little tiny step back, right there. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent.
And then I'll just take one with you two.
Got it. All right. Thank you. Hey, we're here all night.
We are.
Yeah, the Instagram ones and the ones for the profile.
You got it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight.
Mayor? Mayor,
Yes.
you mind if I say a few?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had to take this opportunity to say a few words just because you got three great leaders here that we just recognized today, from Armando, who has been a labor leader for many years, amongst many other community engagement that he does in the city of Pico Rivera that represents us well. Armando, thank you very much. Continue that great work you're doing. Mr. Jacob, I got to meet you, and you've done a lot of great work here as a Parks Commissioner. Thank you for your service. You went out there also when we did a lot of food drives when the community needed, and you were out there volunteering many times, many Saturdays. You joined Mayor and I out there providing food. And of course, I can't, I don't know if I should say Little Joe anymore because you're the big man now, but I just want to recognize a family friend. You've left your mark at St. Hilary's. You've left your mark at St. John Bosco. You left your mark at West Point, and I know you will continue leaving a mark in society. So thank you for everything you've done, and continue being a good leader.
Thank you. So we'll go on with our agenda. First item, we have our public hearing for item number 1, which is the adoption of our fiscal year 2022-2023 Community Development Block Grant Cdbg Annual Action Plan. Do we have any members of the members of the public for comments? None?
We have none.
Seeing and we have none, do I have a motion to approve? Yes.
I'm sorry, just as a formality, I'd recommend you open the public
Oh,
hearing.
can we open the public hearing? We'll open the public hearing.
There's no speaker
No
cards.
speakers.
No speakers?
Is there any member in the public that would like to speak
Or
tonight?
is there any member in the public that would like to speak regarding the matter 1 only, Community Development Block Grant Funds? If so, you may step up to the podium at this time. I believe there are none. Do I have a motion to approve, or I close the hearing? And do I have a motion to approve this item?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? May say aye. Aye. Any opposition? None. Abstentions? None. Motion approved. Second item is the public hearing of adoption of our fiscal year 2022-23 operating budget, 5-year capital improvement program, and adoption of our GAN appropriations limit and approval reserve policies. I'd like to open public hearing at this time. Do we have any members on Zoom or in the public that would like to speak on this item, item number 2 only? None? Seeing we have none, I would like to close public hearing. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions or, I think everyone said aye, right? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Let's move on to our next items. We have public comments. I would like to remind all the members of the public, thank you for coming in and taking your time this evening. However, we have a full agenda. You will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and please speak to items directly related to the city and our agenda, and please be respectful of each other as well. Thank you. First, I want to call up Joshua Gallegos from Hope Community Church. I would like to remind the audience of our rules of decorum. Please save your applause. There are no cell phones as well. Silence your cell phones. And let's keep in mind we have several speakers this evening that will be speaking. Thank you very much. Joshua, you may begin when you're ready.
Right. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, distinguished guests and staff, and members of the community. My name is Joshua Gallegos. I'm a resident of Pico Rivera. I've been since 1962. A graduate of Rancho High School, Rio Hondo College, and I'm also a 3-deployment Vietnam veteran. I'm a member of Hope Community Church, and just that I love my country, I love my city and community, and I love my church. And that's what I'm here to speak about, a matter concerning the solar panels on our church. First of all, we are not looking for a discount. As a matter of fact, I would say discount is the wrong word, okay? For example, if you take from us $1,000 and you give us back only $300, well, would you call that a discount? Or in reality, are you taking from us $700? Well, the answer is obvious. A 30% discount is not what we received. No, as a matter of fact, we got ripped off. And ripped off is the correct word to use. Ripped off for $700. Make no mistake, gentlemen, I'm not here to be, or in any way trying to be disrespectful to you all. I have the utmost admiration for all of you. But please, do not insult our intelligence by suggesting or offering some sort of a fake discount when in actuality it's not a discount at all. And I'd like you all to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallegos. Next, I'd like to call up Edgar Estrada. Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Council, and staff as well. My name is Edgar Estrada. I'm a Pico Rivera lifelong resident and also serve on the Planning Commission. My reason for being here today is to humbly ask the City Council to help me advocate to LA County Board of Supervisors. Specifically, what I'm asking for is to write a letter to LA County Board of Supervisors to remove parking fees at Leg Lake. Although Leg Lake is not in the city of Pico Rivera, it's in our neighboring city of South El Monte. And more than that, a lot of Pico Rivera residents go to Leg Lake. I'm sure many of us spent time there. It's, funny enough, it's the closest body of water that we have in the city of Pico Rivera. But let me get into some of the reasons as to why I'm asking the city to join me in this effort. Number one, we know that the Gold Line extension is coming. Lots of changes are happening. We know that the Whittier Dam project is going to happen. We're going to lose a park. We're going to lose part of the golf course. Our green space is going down. But more than that, the importance of removing parking fees is, although it might be a small fee, maybe $10 less than that, to families here in Pico Rivera and the surrounding neighborhoods, that could be a lot. Why should we add a fee to simply access public space? With inflation, we know how much $10 could be. We know how much that can help us in the grocery stores or any other thing. You know, we know how bills are, utilities, right? They always go up. And so we have to stretch our dollars. The other thing, mental and physical health. After coming out of COVID, we know that being out in the public at these recreational areas help the physical and the mental health of our youth, of us, of our adults, and of our seniors. Also, safety. Currently, people looking to park for free at Leg Lake have to park either on Rosemead Boulevard or on Santa Anita Avenue, both of which are entries to and exits out of the 60 freeway. And we know that speeding is a big issue in our area. We should not wait for somebody to get hurt to start acting on that. The other thing, equity. Don Canabi Regional Park, Community Regional Park, located in Cerritos, has no parking fees. That community, looking at the numbers, is wealthier than the communities around Leg Lake. If we're going to talk about equity, we need to remove parking fees from Leg Lake. With the upcoming record heat, and to also bring relief to the electrical grid, people are being told to go out and seek the parks, and we're going to have to pay for that? It doesn't make any sense. Next, there's enough money. The county, just like a lot of cities, receive money from the feds, and we should use that money wisely. So again, I ask the city council to please join me in writing to the Board of Supervisors and asking to remove parking fees. I have written a letter to Janice Hahn, our current supervisor, and I'm happy to share this with the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Edgar.
Can I pass this along?
Yes. Cynthia, can you please take that? Next, I'll call up Pat Gallegos.
Good evening, City Council and staff. My name is Pat Gallegos. I am married. I have 5 kids, 5 grown kids, and 9 grandchildren. We are active members at Hope Community, and we are also, my family, are your constituents. I come from a very large family who are also your constituents. We're very active in the community, also with the 4 the veteran groups in the city, and our grandkids and kids have participated in many sports throughout the years in the city. Our church is a safe haven for youth, for kids, and families. During voting season, all of you came to us, sent mailers and signs all over the city asking for us to vote for you. And now here we are. Your key selling point, we're going to the solar panels, your key selling point is you will save money. Yet, that is not the case with us. We have not been saving anything. Our bills have gone higher. How does this happen? It happens because Edison is the supplier, Prime is the broker, and Pico Rivera is definitely making the money. Yet here we are being ripped off by our local government, the city of Pico Rivera. We're asking you to use your integrity and do the right thing. Help us. We put you into position. There are many more people other than us that are complaining about when they got the solar panels, their electric bills haven't gone lower, they've gone higher. So we're asking you, as being your constituents, to remember us, not just, okay, I'm in a position and I'm not gonna honor that. Remember, we put you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call Johnny Garcia.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Johnny Garcia, lifelong resident, pretty much all my life here in Pico Rivera. I sat on numerous boards and commissions. I'm currently the chairman of the Planning Commission here in the city of Pico Rivera. I'm here to talk about a couple of topics. First, let me talk about our golf course. I know it's not a moneymaker. I recognize that. However, it's no different from our parks, our libraries, and our swimming pool. We know this is all important amenities, and we need that, and we need to support that here in the city of Pico Rivera. But the golf course also allows an opportunity for many families, for many youth, for many of our veterans. There's many benefits there. I visit that once or twice a week to play and interact with many of our residents here in the city of Pico Rivera. You would never understand golf unless you played it. I was one of those who didn't support it. Baseball, basketball, football was me. I thought that was very boring. But once you play it, you'll appreciate it. Please continue to support our golf course. Second, I was at Smith Park. I was approached by a group of seniors to introduce a pickleball sport. It's a new sport that's cutting edge. City of Tustin has 28 courts. Norwalk Complex has one, Liberty Park. There's rules and guidelines to this sport. It will soon be an Olympic sport. It's growing fast. It's a bigger version of a ping pong table, a smaller version of a tennis court. The best way to describe it, it's a ping pong ball on steroids. We have seniors who are ready to volunteer right now. We want to work with staff to coordinate the implementation of this fast-growing sport. So if we can please work with them to help implement this. Third, I just want to recognize some of the goodwill. I believe in giving folks their flowers while they're here. Mayor and council members, thank you for the work that you do here in our city. City Manager Steve Carmona, thank you for your leadership and the team that you're assembling at the top. You're doing some good work, and the creativity that your team has done with the grant revenue that you've been able to generate, where the residents have been benefiting from the grants that were being brought in. Now, I'm not saying that things are perfect. There's always room for growth and improvement. And I would truly be remiss if I didn't recognize and acknowledge the employees, the worker bees, the boots on the ground. Thank them for their hard work in improving quality of life here in the city of Pico Rivera. Finally, in closing, I just want to recognize or just share some of the false statements via social media, here in our community, or throughout the country. The last thing we want is any council member or anyone in the city of Pico Rivera to be sharing half-truths, false information, or misleading the public. Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Please hold your applause. I'll call up next Isaac Fernandez from Hope Church. Isaac Fernandez.
Madam Mayor, council members, Captain, it's good to see you guys today. I met the mayor at my son's opening game at Smith Park, and it was awesome. But besides baseball, basketball, and any sports, we have an awesome church in Hope Community. That's where I attend. That's where my kids attend, my wife. And obviously, you've already heard the cry of the solar panels. I work currently as a homicide detective in LAPD in the city of Watts. I see the violence and death every day. And I'll tell you this much, that our kids are not perfect, but you'll see a stand-up youth that you'll never see tagging, you'll never see killing somebody else. And I'm not here to talk about, obviously, the money that we are spending monthly. I am on staff at the church as well, and the money that we're spending monthly, we're not asking for federal funds. We're not asking for money. We're just asking that you let us run efficiently. We're self-sufficient. We could run with our church, and that money that we're spending monthly on electricity, we could be investing into our youth. A thing that we lack in the city of LA, and that's where I grew up. I grew up in Hollenbeck and Boyle Heights, is leadership. Leadership in families, leadership in the community. And I'm telling you, these kids, they need leadership. I'm part of the youth program at our church. I practice with them. After a 60-hour week sometimes, we practice every Friday where they're serving. You see them all over the city holding signs to come to our church. And all we're asking for, respectfully, is drive by our church. We're not an eyesore. Our church is probably the cleanest property you ever see here in Pico Rivera. Our tower, our outdoor project. I'm going to take the whole minute that I have left. I invite you guys personally. I don't know what religion you practice. Don't even just come to our church and visit us on Sunday. We have service at 9, 11, and if you speak Spanish, estamos ahí a las 6 de la tarde. And we're there to serve you guys. We're there to serve your children. I've worked in Pico since I was 20 years old. My parents still live here. I worked at North Park, Rivera. I coached basketball there. I coached basketball at our Rancho High School. And I worked at the church as an intern, and they taught me how to be a good citizen. And now I've been on the LAPD department for 10 years. And trust me, we don't want to look like Watts. We don't want to look like Compton. We want to look like Pico Rivera, the city that this is, where my kids could come play baseball safely. So, Madam Mayor, council members, we thank you for your time. We're here respectfully. Again, just let us run. And trust me, you'll see what difference Hope Community is already doing and will continue to do in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I will call up Marina Martinez regarding a gold line extension. Marina Martinez.
Good evening, council members. My name is Marina Martinez, and I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Pico Rivera. And I am asking you if you have voted in favor of the Gold Line extension coming through the city of Pico Rivera. I ask you to please reevaluate your decision. I will read you a letter I have sent to Supervisor Hahn, who is now, of course, we're in District 4. And in my letter, I wrote, I'm writing this letter to inform you, Supervisor Hahn, of my strong opposition to the proposed Gold Line Light Rail project. The reasons are as follows. In the spring of 2019, Metro conducted 6 community input meetings. At the meetings, Metro project manager Jenny Cristales Ceballos completely left out any discussion of the 2 alternatives that were still on the board. The no-build alternative and the TSM alternative. The TSM stands for the Transportation Systems Management. At subsequent meetings, Ms. Ceballos refused to discuss any discussion for these alternatives. Was that representative of what transparency and informative government should be? Was the public able to adequately make an informed decision? Or as you as council members able to make an informed decision under those conditions? In Metro Zone EIR, which stands for the Environmental Impact Report, which was published in 2014, was acknowledged that our neighborhoods, meaning here in Pico Rivera, would greatly be disrupted if the light rail is constructed. High school students attending school at El Rancho High School would be crossing Washington Boulevard and Passons. These intersections are very dangerous to everyone. In the years since the light rail has been running, there have been many accidents with motor vehicles and pedestrians resulting in serious injuries and death. And just to make a follow-up, the final environmental impact report will be released this Thursday, June 30th. If approved, beginning in 2028, Washington Boulevard Light Rail project will take 7 years, as a total cost of $1.7 billion, which that figure has now ballooned up to $3 billion. Most of those funds will come from Measure M, and whatever is not Measure M would not be able to fund, then they would request funds from the federal government. So it will also severely impact, for at least 7 years, traffic on Washington Boulevard, which is a major street to the 5 freeway in cities. Construction activities will be on both sides of the street and will impact emergency vehicles, which use Washington as a major artery to the other parts of the city. Washington Boulevard is already heavily impacted with rush hour traffic in the morning and afternoon.
Ms. Martinez, your time has lapsed.
Okay.
You can finish your last sentence.
Okay, well, I just wanted to add to that. Yesterday, there was a Zoom meeting, and I don't know if you were aware, but I requested the environmental impact report to be made available at the Pico Rivera Library because on this flyer, they only had the libraries at Montebello, Whittier, and East LA, and Pico Rivera was totally left out. We are always left out. They are not having any public meetings here in the city of over 60,000 residents. Have they approached you for a public meeting? Are you aware that there's a Zoom tomorrow? I was the only one at the Zoom meeting representing my city, and if I had not spoken up about that environmental impact report and saying, we have a wonderful library of minds, why don't you make available that report? Why do I have to travel to East LA or Whittier? 60,000 people live here, at least. You have to advocate for us. You have to demand to have a public meeting here. We have the space. We have the Smith Auditorium. We have other spaces here in this city. And yet we're always neglected. So I'm going to travel to East LA. I'm going to travel to Montebello and Whittier. And at Whittier, the terminus for the goal line is Washington and Lambert. So that city's not affected. Most of the residents live off of Lambert, Whittier Boulevard, Painter. That terminus is there. We are the ones affected, and yet we are the neglected child. Like, these Latinos don't know nothing.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez, for bringing this in. We do have several other speakers. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call Ginger Duran. Ginger Duran. We still have several speakers this evening, so please hold your applause and you can convene in the lobby. as well if you would like to speak or have other separate side conversations. Thank you. Mr. An?
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and City Council. I'm here for Hope Community. I've been in Pico Rivera for 46 years. I serve in the Pride as a volunteer, the Pride with the Sheriff's Department. I'm just here because I love my church, and the injustice we're seeing with these solar panels, that we're giving out more energy than we're taking in. So I just hope that we can get this resolved as soon as possible, that we get our break that we're supposed to be getting. And we just need to get our break. And because, you know, God is the one providing the sun for the solar. And God is giving us this opportunity to save money for our church and for our children, and we're not getting that opportunity. So I would just like to ask you respectfully that we get the opportunity to save money. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Jackie Villabos. Jackie Villabos.
So I was very upset when I wrote this morning. I just spoke to the captain that I'm going to work with her together to get this resolved, but I still decided to share my story, an incident that my daughter and I went through yesterday, hopefully to help save somebody's life or to prevent them to go through what we went through. So I'm here to tell you that I don't trust our law enforcement, the Pico Rivera Sheriff's Department. I don't understand how a mother, me, called 911 in distress with her 12-year-old daughter who was attacked by a homeless man. We waited 30 minutes in fear. We barricaded ourselves in a building. We called back twice, and the sheriffs never showed up. I'm 37 years old. I lived in Pico Rivera for 32 years. I raised my 2 kids in the city of Pico to respect, honor, and obey law enforcement because law enforcement, I thought, were here to serve and protect us. While my daughter is scared, afraid, traumatized, and really confused as to why the one time in 32 years that I needed the sheriffs to help us, they didn't show up. This incident happened yesterday around noon at the VFW, the Veterans for War, in Pico Rivera. I lived down the street, and this man, he threw a glass window at my daughter's, towards her head. He missed her, luckily, and it shattered right by her side. My daughter had cuts on her back, she had glass on her hair, and nobody showed up to help us. I feel like this incident could have been prevented if we had proper training, if we had law enforcement patrolling the streets and answering emergencies in a timely manner. The dispatcher told me twice that they were on their way, which that was a lie. They never showed up. To the mothers on the panel, as a mother, you know how much we'll do to protect our kids. If your child was in danger and we called for help, wouldn't you expect help to arrive? So I just feel like the sheriffs need to do their job and protect our community, protect our schools, protect our churches. My son goes to Rancho, she goes to Burke Middle School, and I expect if we call in for help, for the sheriffs to be there. I want to thank the captain for taking the time to speak with me. I still wanted to share my story so that nobody else goes through what my daughter and I went through yesterday. On the way here, we actually saw the man that attacked us. So he's still out there, and we're gonna work together to, see what we can do and just to feel safe in our community, to keep our schools safe, our parks, our churches, our homes, our businesses, and anything else. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming in. Is this Mariah Hyde Villalobos? Would she like to speak as well? And Captain, thank you very much for, she will follow up directly with you. Thank you for coming in.
My name is Mariah Hyder, and I am 12 years old. You already heard the scary incident from my mom. I was scared. I dialed 911 while my mom tried to yell at the man to go away. I gave my mom the phone as she spoke to the dispatcher. She told me not to be afraid because the sheriffs are on their way. I hugged my mom tight. We kept hearing the man yelling, and we thought he was coming back to attack us again. We really needed the sheriffs. My mom called back. after a long time, and they told her they were on their way, but they never showed up. In my head, I saw sheriffs as brave men and women, like heroes. Well, my heroes let me down yesterday. And I don't have faith in Pico Rivera Sheriff Station. I go to school at Burke Middle School, and I want to feel safe at school, my house, and when we go out. I am going to attend a Rancho High School in 2 years, and I want to be safe. This man was throwing things at us, yelling. He gave us the middle finger. I am scared that we will see him again and do the same thing. When we call 911, please go help us. Luckily, this time we got away safe, but what about the next time? Thank you.
Thank you for coming in to share this. Thank you for your bravery, and I'm sorry that this has happened, and the captain will follow up. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call James McGowan.
Hello, everyone. My name's James McGowan. I work for the city of Sierra Madre. I am a sanitation foreman, lead water worker. And my wife attended all years of school in Pico Rivera. And I'm here to speak because I love my church. I love this family. And we're pretty close, and we're like one. And if we use less energy than we use, please tell me, how can we have a March bill over $1,000? It's outrageous. My pastors, our leaders, they're good stewards with their money. They take care of the congregation, and most of all, they take care of the youth, the kids. They're primary. That's right. And that's the way we need to be in this community, is we need to bring our kids up. And they're definitely not selfish. They take care of the kids. And we honor our pastors for that. That's what I got to say. Hopefully you guys can do something about this situation.
Thank you for coming in. Next, I'd like to call Mario Rosas.
Hello, Madam Mayor. Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm here again. I want to apologize to everybody else about my English, okay? My Spanish is my first language, so my English is not that clear. I hope I can make myself clear. We need more, like you guys hope. My wife and I, we're going to talk to see what we can do to support you guys. I agree with them that we need to focus on our kids. We need to change the society. We are so broken as a society. And we need to stop making efforts on the not good things. My point wasn't about this. My point was about something else, but I agree totally with them. So I encourage Jackie, because she shared the topic with me. And as you guys know, like a lot of people look for me to sometimes to share they see me like on their level probably. And I try to share with you guys the situations of the regular people, like myself. My point today was something about the construction, Mr. Manager. As you guys know, my daughter being with cancer, the construction has been affecting us in all the possible ways. We have our business there across the street from where we live. Rosemead Boulevard has been a target of the construction so much. And the way that we suggest you guys on the last meeting, that I don't know, but the city needs to do something to send somebody from the city hall to inspect and be constantly there, because I know that these construction companies, they lie to you. They tell you over whatever they're doing is not true. So the dust has been always a big problem when construction goes going on there. They don't water. So my daughter being sick, I had to send my daughter to a family member far away because our house is kind of old. So we don't have air filtration, we don't have air conditioning. And the dust, unfortunately, the storm the I don't know the incident with this lady in the riverbed, but that water washed off all the possible things that I can show you. But it was so much dust. This time it was way worse as the last time, and I know that this company was telling you they were not. We were basically like eating dirt, not dust, dirt, because they were not watering enough. And I have proofs, and I sent proofs to the city hall regarding about the way that they were working. They left holes, actual holes with no warning signs or nothing on the actual road for 2 days. And when I called, they said that the inspector, like a few hours after, there was nobody there from the city, like to watching whatever the construction company was doing. It was just random pass by. Since you know that there's going to be so much construction about the dog park and the dam being rebuilt and all that, we need to work on a way for the community to, I don't know, because that's not good. Dealing with all this, our business is always been attacked by these kinds of constructions. And so much to say, but unfortunately, I haven't touched so many good points today. So many. I agree with almost everybody. Hope Church, we're a Catholic, but we're going to be there for you guys because I have hope that the only way to change the society, the broken society that we have, is we need people like you guys. We need to focus on our kids. And they need the help from you guys. And I hope that you listen and you support these people because regardless of their religion or the gender, whatever, we need people to focus on their kids. And I need you guys not to give up, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to support you guys. We don't wanna let you guys alone, and I hope that you guys listen to them because we need more people like them. If we really care about whatever is gonna happen in the future, we need to focus on the people who's really helping. We need to target the real fact that is happening right now. All these homeless, all these drug addicts, all these people who's hurting the society right now, they come from broken houses. And then these broken houses, they need people like them to get through whatever they're dealing with. So you have drug addict, homeless because something happened on their homes. So we need to invest another 20, 30 years to create a new generation, and we need people like them. If we really want Pico Rivera to go to the maximum level, because we have so much room to grow. I agree with everybody. But we need to support these kind of people because I don't know what they're doing, but all these people in here says one thing, that they're doing the right thing. And all of us, we are doing wrong. We need to support these people in order for the sheriff department not to have these calls and complaints about Jackie or anybody else. We need to fix our society now, and they need help now. And I'm telling you, I'm going to compromise my family, even though that we have different religions, we're going to support you. We need you guys in our society. And I'm going to be there. You'll see. I'm going to be there.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Mr. Rosas, we have your address. City Manager, can I ask we follow up with the Public Works Director as well? Thank you. Next, I would like to call up Michael Duran from Hope Community.
City Council, good evening. My name is Michael Duran. I am a hospice chaplain and a lifelong resident of Pico Rivera. I am here today to speak and address Hope Community. I mention hospice chaplain because people ask me, how could you do that work? Talking to people who are at the last stages of their lives. And honestly, the work is quite demanding. Most people don't forgive themselves. They hold on to sins that they've done, angers that they've caused, and perhaps not doing the work that God asked them to do. And I'm there to help them, to give them hope, to explain that God is full of grace and mercy, and that He helps and forgives and moves them forward. And I've had very difficult situations way beyond my own capacity, and God has intervened and has brought peace of mind. I mention this because I get to recognize and see God moving from a hilltop perspective. As a hospice chaplain for 20 years, I am also a member of Hope Community, and I'm there because God moves through this church as well. Amen. I'm going to make a comparison because Captain Jody knows me as a Pride volunteer. I was part of the original clergy council that brought Pride into Pico Rivera. We've had over 26 classes. That group is sustained through volunteerism. And it's a movement of God. And I'm sure you're aware of the Pride program. It's a very good program, running 2 a week. And right now, this Saturday, I will go and volunteer at their fireworks stand. And in that fireworks stand, the money generated generates 2 classes per year. Funny how that money is important to that group because we impact a lot of our youth here in Pico Rivera. And one of the reasons I love Hope is because they have that same vision for the youth in Pico Rivera. And for you to take $1,000 from Hope is like taking $1,000 from Pride. And if you took $1,000, that program would be over, done. No one else is going to fund it. Thank you very much. I address you with the utmost regard. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Martin Morones.
Mayor, council members, can you have somebody pass these pictures?
You can give it to the city clerk or deputy city clerk.
As you know what I'm here for. I'm not here to beat up the brewery, because they're a business, and they generate funds for the city of Pico Rivera. And Pico Rivera needs those funds. But, I'm here because you look at them pictures. We just want the same, we want to be on the same platform they're on. They get the same rights that they have. We want the same thing. It seems like they're getting favoritism. And if I was them, I would take it. If somebody gave me free parking, part of the public parking, I would take it. And I look at them, and I used to be mad at them, but I go, it's not their fault. The city's the one that gave it to them, So nothing's being done. I was here 3 months ago, and Councilman Camacho, if he recalls, I spoke about the condominiums, and he goes, yes, Mr. Morones, you have a point. We should have an ad hoc committee. That was 3 months ago. And I haven't heard nothing. We need help with this parking situation. You look at them pictures, it seems like they have free reign because you give it to them. We want the same consideration. We need help like they need help. They want to keep their business going, generate funds. Well, we're the American Legion. We want to support kids. We may not do it on the scale that Hope does, but we want to generate funds for their football, baseball. We want to make breakfast dinners to raise this money. And we can't do it because there's no parking. We're not getting any help. People are just walking away saying, hey, we can't do nothing here because there's no parking. So we need your help. And if you go by them pictures, look at them pictures. Nothing's being done. I've been talking about this for the past 6 months, I think. And this time I said, I'm going to bring some pictures. I have more pictures, but I didn't want to give them, I don't hand them all out. But I just need the city council to do something, you know what I mean? I'm not asking for favoritism, but you give it to them, how about giving us a little bit, okay? And another thing I only had a couple of minutes, the Veteran Service Center. Again, I was here 3 or 4 months ago. Oh, we got it down to 5 buildings. We're going to have it going. And here we are going into July. Where is it at? What are we doing? The Congress just passed a law giving veterans who are exposed to Agent Orange more benefits, more health benefits. So that's going to create more paperwork for our VSOs to try to get them their money, the medical needs. And we're not doing nothing. Pico Rivera has a lot of veterans in the city. And you're reaching out to other things. Reach out to them. They need the help. Their families need the help. Not just them, but the family, their kids, their wives. They need the help. And where are we at on that Veterans Center? Nothing? 3 or 4 months ago, we got it down. Nothing. So I guess I'm out.
Thank you. And I would like to address the comment regarding favoritism. There is no favoritism. Director Garcia, can you please raise your hand? Mr. Morones, this is your man here. There is a permit for the city if you're having a special event. And I believe that your organization has applied and gotten parking on Durfee Avenue and the Veterans Park. So there is an application process for special events, and then you can work with him to seek more parking. So it's not an issue of favoritism, but there's an application in which businesses shall apply when there are special events. So he can get direct information from him and contact our city manager as well.
From Thursday to Sunday, like they have at 5 in the afternoon, or 12 midnight?
You can work with our director to make that request. So I'd like to call up Daniel Sanchez from Hope Community Church.
Hello, my name is Daniel Sanchez. My family and I are residents here in Pico Rivera. I'm a United States Navy veteran. Following the service, I achieved my BSN, and I've been practicing as a registered nurse now since 2017. Since returning to Pico Rivera following my years of service in 2014, my family has made Hope Community our home church. Today, we have turned out in numbers, as you can see. And with those numbers, we're here to talk, obviously, about the solar panels and the energy, okay? So Community Church, we are outraged, okay? The leadership of our church over the past few weeks has shared with us the unfair and possibly unjust treatment we have received in the recent months related to our electricity bill. Upon hearing the elaborate creative billing produced by our city's not-for-profit Pico Rivera Innovative Municipal Energy Prime Service, my mind was blown, okay? Allow me to help you understand why that is. As a faithful Christian and member of the church body here, I faithfully bring my tithe, okay? And we entrust our pastors to smartly use it to better our community, right? So using that, they've gotten these solar panels. With that, we have had issues, right? We've produced more energy than we use. Yes, let me say that again. Hope Community Church produces more energy than we use. And yet Prime can still produce electrical bills for us of upwards of $1,000. Yes, that is to say the church is running at an energy level of net zero and still manages to receive a monthly bill at times upwards of $1,000. The credit given us during the hours we produce energy is one cost, and conveniently, the other hours are significantly higher, again, upwards of possibly 100% more. Also, once a week, we have our evening service, at which time the cost of electricity is significantly higher than that of the day. You may call that on-peak pricing, but at a multiple of 100%, that's not right, okay? Now, for an equivalent amount of energy to be, it says now, the amount of energy used on that Wednesday night, Prime charges us a fee for an equivalent amount of energy to be ready the other days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. May I be clear? We are not open those days, however, charged a handsome amount from Prime to have the energy on standby. Now, may I ask you, is this fair? Think about it. We appeal to you today to simply do what you have been voted into office to do, to listen to your community, to morally weigh the topic, and righteously and justly govern. Okay? Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Jesse Romero.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Romero, and I'd like to just share my experience with Hope Community in regards to their internship program and the importance of its budget. I've lived in Pico Rivera for the majority of my life, going to North Park Middle School and El Rancho High School, where I met my wife, who invited me to Hope nearly 10 years ago. I graduated from El Rancho High School and decided to join their internship program, which was a one-year commitment to serving our community. I learned the importance of having critical skills such as work ethic, good attitude, and attention to detail. Upon completing this year-long commitment, I earned my credentials to become a school bus driver and began transporting students from all throughout Pico Rivera, Santa Fe Springs, and Whittier area. I was then promoted to become a dispatcher in Whittier Union High School District. Finally, I have recently been hired with the LA County Sheriff's Department, where I look forward to beginning my training next month. I attribute much of my success to the internship and the ongoing lessons that I've learned from Pastor Drew and Tamara. They pour their heart and souls out to make their city a better place, not just for students, but for their families also. I hope that my journey demonstrates the value that Hope Community Church is looking to bring to this city. Because of what Hope Community is doing for for youth and all of the families in this city like mine. I implore you to do the right thing and step in to help with our solar panel and electricity issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Oscar Daniel Ramirez.
Good evening, counselors. My name is Oscar Daniel Ramirez. I'm a member of Hope Community Church, as well as my wife and my 3 children. Unlike my brethren here, I'm asking myself that question: how can we receive a bill of over $1,000 in the month of March if we're creating more energy and using it less, right? I'm currently own a small business, transportation business, and in my business, I'm always looking to invest in new equipment to see a profit, right? But if I knew that if investing in this equipment is not gonna give me a return, I wouldn't do that move. But unlike my business, my small business, our church is a nonprofit. I would like to repeat, it's a non-profit. The money that our church uses to invest in equipment and our facility is used to be a light here in Pico Rivera. If you notice, our church, our facility is one of the nicest facilities here in Pico Rivera. I would even dare say even better than some of the business around us. One of the models at our church is that our youth and our kids are not they're not the future. They are the today. And I love the church because I have 3 little ones and they invest so much time in our youth and our kids. And I'm just asking myself, and I hope you guys ask yourself too, and see the unlogical reasoning in this question. How if we invested in new equipment to reduce our light bill, how are we spending more on our light bill monthly? That just makes no sense. And hopefully you guys take a quick second to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll call up Ryan Reader. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Redder, can you correct me? How do you pronounce it correctly? I'm sorry about that.
Hi, my name is Ryan Reader. I'm 26 years old, and I was an alcoholic and drug addict for 11 years. And I desperately needed help, and it's because of people like Pastor Drew and Pastor Tamara at Hope Community Church that I was able to find help at Teen Challenge, which they donate to, and that was totally free of charge, that I was able to go into that program because of Pastor Drew and Pastor Tamara at Hope Community, which helped donate to Teen Challenge. Teen Challenge is a 1-year program that changes lives. I've now been 2 years sober, and I attend Hope Community for the last 6 months. Hope is my home. Please do what's right. It's not just about the solar panels. It's about saving lives. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, sorry, I get emotional, if it wasn't for people like Pastor Drew and Pastor Tamara. So I just ask that you do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll call up Zachary Bethel.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to you guys. So my name is Zachary Bethel. I'm a part of the Teen Challenge Ministry Institute, which is under the umbrella of Teen Challenge. And like my sister Ryan said, it is a free program for everyone to attend. It's a 1-year Christian ministry. And so I struggled from a meth and heroin addiction for 7 years, and I had no hope. You know, I was lost on the streets, and I didn't know where to go. And thank God for Teen Challenge, which is free for anybody to go, which runs strictly on donations like Hope Community Church. And I'm just so thankful. And not only do they just provide financially for Teen Challenge, we are able to go there every Sunday, and we are able to get poured into spiritually and have fellowship with them. And just the camaraderie that happens at the church is just like no other. And I am just so thankful for them, and just. I'm not too aware on the specifics of the situation, but you guys know what is right, and obviously that all these people wouldn't come and support something that was wrong. And so I just thank you guys for this time and just support their decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll call up Alfredo Hernandez.
Good evening, Councilman. My name is Alfredo Hernandez, and I'm 25 years old. I'm a student at the Teen Challenge Ministry Institute, and as you are aware, Hope Community Church is a huge donor to Teen Challenge, where they're able to fund for a place for like my brothers and sisters who struggle with addiction. Because of their donations, because of their heart, because of their concern for the community and for the world and people around it, they're willing to financially provide for our needs, for a place to stay for a whole year, to feed us, to clothe us. And now we get to come alongside this community, and they're a part for Pico Rivera. They want the best. They want to be that light for not just the children, but for everyone. It's just not right what you guys are doing to our church, to our home. They stand for something great. The God that we serve, they reflect onto them. They're doing that for Pico Rivera. So I just ask that you just come alongside them as well and continue making a positive impact for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call up Lorenzo Villanueva.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for having us. My name is Lorenzo Villanueva. I've been a resident of Pico Rivera and Whittier for the last 9 years. We moved out of East LA. I used to live with my parents. My wife and I were newlyweds, and we were trying to find our own footing. We have 4 kids now, 5 on the way. So we're, number 5 on the way. I mean, it seems like 5. Hope is not a bottom line business. It's a family. They're part of the community. They don't just serve the adults. They don't just serve. It's not lip service that's given at Hope. We're there to provide. We're there to provide hope for not just those who are broken, those who are lost, but to teach our children how to be good stewards, how to be civil servants. My kids, from my oldest 9, we've been there forever now, and the amount of donations and amount of effort that's given, not just from our staff to the kids. It's you see the kids, you see that they're well taken care of. I would trust any of my kids with any member of Hope Community. Take them home, have fun with my kids, because I know that they're gonna love them as if it was their own kids. I have a degree in engineering, and I could have taken that up to Silicon Valley. I could have gone up there, and made my 300,000 plus, and say, well, forget the community. But that's not it. I decided to stay here. I decided to stay in Pico Rivera because I love Hope, and it's not about the money. It's about doing what's right. It's about saying, okay, if it was about the money, then call it a day. We'll solar panels. These bigger projects that we have for the kids, that what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to mortgage a couple kidneys or something. Let's do what's right. Let's do what's right for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Arujo. Anthony Arujo? Arajo? Did I pronounce that incorrectly? I'm sorry.
Hello. Sorry. I'm Josh Arajo. I'm his son. He had to take off. He has work tonight. Well, thank you guys for hearing me. Sorry, I'm underdressed. I wasn't going to speak. Hope Community. I was also a part of their internship program, actually for 3 years, and I was on staff for almost 2. And just the things that we do at our church is just phenomenal. And the pouring into not just to the kids but to the youth, and anyone above the age of 12 is just in our youth group called Sozo, and they just have so much support. Where we actually have leaders that go to a rancho and they're like, hey, do you guys just want water bottles and on a hot day? And are just there to invite them and reach out to them and just say, hey, you know what, do you guys need prayer for anything? Do you guys need anything at all? And just us being on our properties, like, hey, you guys want a free slushy? Do you guys want this? And just reaching out to our community. And so we just go and we just ask that, you guys do what's right. You guys go and I don't know all the specifics of everything, but I just know that the more that is taken from us, the less we can give and pour out into our community and to our youth. And just thank you for you guys' time.
Thank you. Alfred Carrillo?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Alfred Carrillo. The City of Pico Rivera has always been a huge part of my life. I work for LA County Public Works as a construction superintendent. For 22 years, I have serviced the community of Pico Rivera, maintaining our flood control facilities and infrastructure, as well as the coastal spreading grounds along both San Gabriel and Rio Hondo channels. These facilities recharge underground drinking water supply as well. So I've done my service for Pico Rivera, and I just ask that you do your part as public servants. You owe it to these people, your residents, people that serve your community, people that vote for you, people that support you. All we're looking for is support back. Do the right thing, deal with our bills, just make it right. That's it. That's all we ask. Hope Community is the numbers. We're here. We're not going to be quiet. We're seeking justice. We're seeking your assistance. We'll continue voting for you. Serve us just the way we serve you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, I'll call up Gail Wilson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Councilman and staff. My family. I've been a resident of Pico Rivera for several years, and I'm a member of Hope Community Church. I've known Pastor Tamara and Pastor Jewel for over 20 years, and they're extremely devoted to the community. I can't even say that enough. They have a heart for everyone, adults, youth, and especially the children. They're not secondary, they're primary. The reason I love my church, it's like home to me. I've been off work like several months right now, probably 8 or 9, and I could be sitting at home like just doing nothing, but I come to the church almost every day because I love the environment. I just love the atmosphere just being around. When you walk on the grounds, you feel loved and safe, and they encourage me. And my life has been changed dramatically, and the lives of a lot of other people also. So I'm hoping you guys step up to the plate and do the right thing.
Thank you. Next, we'll call up Drew Cohen.
What an honor to be here and in front of you. And we just, my friend looked at me as you all were talking. She said, Pastor, you are beaming. Of course I am. Looking at just, this is Hope Community Church. Hope Community Church is not a building, it's people. And these people love Pico Rivera. These people love their community. These people love the kids and the youth. We love the kids and the youth. Here's what I want to say, and I'll try to be concise. We've invested a lot of our resources to work very hard at becoming what's called net zero. Net zero means you're producing more than you're using. Now, this is very simple. If you're producing more than you're using, your bill should be zero. And yet, and I can show you bills that we're producing more than we're using. And still, our March bill was over $1,000. Now, that $1,000, we invested in those solar panels and a lot of other things. But we invested in those solar panels particularly that we could have the money that we are writing checks to Prime, that monies could be used for our youth and kids programs. My wife went to the website, the Prime website, because I wanted to talk to the leadership, the board of Prime. And what we found out is tonight, you guys, we are talking to the board of Prime. You are the board of Prime. And we found out that you guys are the ones that set the fees and the monies and all kinds of different things. Now, I've been told this, what Prime is doing is mirroring what Edison is doing. Well, listen, Edison can do whatever they want to do. But again, what I've been told is that the reason why Prime is in our city is so they can have control in our city. So I just want to say this, please, and you hear these people. The truth is, I can't be more eloquent than they are. Here's the reality. The reality is, for most of you, I know I've been in this city for a long, long, long time. Tamara and I, my beautiful, wonderful wife. My smart, beautiful, wonderful wife. I've been in this, but all I'm saying is, I'm running out of time, but all I want to say is this. You're the leaders. Step up to the plate, make the right decision. It's so simple. I don't want to act like it's complicated. It's so simple. And we're not looking for a discount. We're looking for, if we're producing more energy than we're using, our bill should be nothing. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And by the way,
I will call up your beautiful, wonderful wife, Tamara. She's next on my card, so you may come up. Thank you.
We'll be here after. If we can talk to any of you, I'll show you the bills. It's outrageous. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it. I think you hear the passion that we have for our community. We are so grateful. Many, many years ago, with Bob Archuleta, we began seeing a real strong partnership through the city and the churches. And I know that Senator Archuleta worked really hard, to be part of making that happen. And we appreciate that partnership. We see you and us, we're on the same team. We love our community. We're trying to be here for our community. We want to produce wonderful citizens in our community who, in our case, who love God, who love people, and who just love righteousness and doing the right thing. That we would be a community of people who are servants to one another. That is so what God looks from us, that we would be servants in our community. And so we partner with you. We see you as servants as well. We thank you for taking the time to listen to us. We alone this week saw I looked at the attendance. 425 people came through our doors this week. And those are people who are making a difference in their lives, with their relationship with God, and in each other's lives as we have relationship with each other. And we are just grateful for a city who sees the church not as a problem, but as a partner. And we're asking, we are a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit. We put 103 solar panels on our roof for a reason. We are very conscious that we're a nonprofit. We're very conscious of the rising costs around us. And we try to make a responsible move for the church, for the community, for our people. And that was shocking to us because of many things that happened. You say, well, why are you here now? A few things happened. The pandemic happened, which changed everything. You can't compare an apple and an orange. They're different. The other thing that happened is there was 6 months, I think, 5 months. 5 months, we got no bill at all. We thought we were net zero. That's why we're not getting a bill. This is what we achieved. You know, this is what we set out to do. But no, for some reason, there was no billing for 5 months. And all of a sudden, we got hit with a whopper. And that made us open our eyes and go, wait a second, what is going on here? And the month of May was the first time we were able to compare apples to apples. And after spending a ton of money on solar panels and a roof, we end up with a bigger bill today than we did, you know what, before we had the solar panels. Something is wrong that a nonprofit can invest over $60,000 to try to be financially responsible and end up in a worse place than where they began. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen.
Realize my time is
Next, I'll call up Joanne Gallegos.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Gallegos. My husband and I are longtime residents of Pico Rivera. We've lived here all of our lives. We love this city and have raised our 6 children here. We attend Hope Community Church and have attended for many years. One of the things that Hope offers to youth in the community is the internship program, as you've heard. Several of my children, who are now adults, have went through the internship program. It's a great program in which they learn values, integrity, work ethic, and most importantly, putting God at the center of all that you do in your personal life and in your work life. I work at a local school district where I've been employed for the past 20 plus years as an accountant. I encouraged my son and my son-in-law and other interns and congregants of Hope to apply at my job, where many of them now work and have received promotions. I attribute this to the internship program, as well as what is taught at our local community church. I quote one of the upper management at my job when she said, "I wish I could have 100 employees from your church because they're hard workers with great attitudes." I want to encourage each one of you to do the right thing. Hope should not be worrying about outrageous electric bills and continue to use its finances toward programs for our youth in the community. Hope has invested in solar panels, and the electric bills should be zero. This is not right. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up George Gallegos.
Good evening. My name is George. I've lived in Pico Rivera all my life, raised my kids in Pico. My family and I have been going to Hope Community Church for 15 plus years now. You don't commit to something or some place for that long without love. I love Hope for many reasons, but for sake of time, I will keep it brief, or I'd be, like up here for an hour. Now, not only is this church where once you walk upon the property, you feel welcomed, but the leadership and the pastors we have are the real deal. They don't just talk the talk, but they walk the walk. They don't sugarcoat. They teach the uncompromised word of God, and most importantly, they really, really love the people in our city, especially the children and the youth in our community. I have 6 kids. I raised them all at Hope, where They were taught good values and godly principles. 3 of my kids served multiple years in the Hope internship, and my other kids volunteered since they were preteens. I can go on and on about why I love Hope, but I will leave that there. And so this church loves Pico Rivera. It loves Pico Rivera. It serves Pico Rivera, but they are currently victims of something extremely unfair. Here's a candy bar, right? I can go down the street to Food for Less. I bought it for $1.25. Here, this one. I can buy it at 6 a.m. I can buy it at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 7 p.m., 9, 11 p.m. And no matter when I buy it, day or night, $1.25. At Hope, in the day between 9 and 4 p.m., when we are producing energy, Prime buys our energy for cheap, but something very strange happens at 4 p.m. when the sun begins to set and we can no longer produce energy. Prime then sells us back that same energy that we produced, but they're selling it back to us over 100% profit that they bought it from us. That's right. It's not 20, it's not 50, 80, but believe it or not, over 100% more. I know that might seem hard to believe, but it's right there on the bill every month. And we can show it to you, like Pastor said. He brought them along, and if any of you are like interested in seeing the truth on paper, please stay. And obviously this is wrong. Please have the power, or please, like you guys have the power to fix it. So please fix it. It's not right, and I thank you.
Thank you. I'll call up George Fernandez. Or is it Jorge? Jorge Fernandez.
City Council, good evening. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Jorge Fernández, soy residente de la ciudad de Pico Rivera. Trabajo para un contratista que trabaja para el condado de Los Ángeles. Arreglo carros chocados. Arreglo todos los carros de los Board Supervisors. Todos los carros de la ciudad me toca arreglarlos. Y también soy miembro de la iglesia Hope Community Church. Sirvo allí como pastor de ministerio en español. Y me pidieron en esta tarde que hablara en español. Conozco a Pastor Drew, Pastor Tamara, los conozco por más de 10 años. Y sé que es gente que ama a Dios, ama su ciudad, ama su comunidad. Y ellos han invertido mucho tiempo. Han invertido sus hijos, sus vidas, predicando la palabra de Dios. Y Hope Community Church es una organización no lucrativa que está comprometida a predicar el evangelio en nuestra comunidad. Y ellos, en su amor a la comunidad, estuvieron orando por un pastor que hablara español para abrir sus puertas de su iglesia para la iglesia en español. Se dieron cuenta de tanta gente que tenemos en Pico Rivera de habla español. Y estuvieron orando, y mi hijo Isaac Fernández, el detective en homicidios que habló aquí, él fue criado en la iglesia. Yo era baterista en la iglesia y ellos dormían literalmente, mis 2 hijos, abajo de la batería. Y ellos crecieron conociendo el temor de Dios, y ahora mi hijo sirve para la ciudad como detective. Es un detective que conoce la palabra de Dios, que es temeroso de Dios. Y eso es lo que Hope Community Church está haciendo con nuestros niños, con nuestros jóvenes. Tenemos un edificio grande, maravilloso. Usamos el aire acondicionado para días como estos, para que nuestros niños, nuestros jóvenes, nuestros ancianos estén cómodos escuchando la palabra de Dios como estamos en este recinto. Y creo que apelamos a ustedes. Es un honor hablar en frente de ustedes, y apelamos para que nos den un bill de electricidad justo y equitativo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, señor Fernández. Next, Ernest Formolo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. You can correct me, please.
You said that quite well, so thank you for that. Good evening, and thank you for listening to me. I did bring up a little thing to say, but you know what? Everybody has pretty much said everything, so you know what we're here for and what we mean. I'm recently retired from the Boeing company, and I have some very impressive credentials, but who cares? That's not what we're here for. You know, one credential that I will say is I am certified through the USC Long Beach as a lean engineer. And with that, I understand what's going on and all of this. And I see that whole community purchased a system, their money. They paid for it out of their funds. The system is generating an enormous amount of power, and they're not getting anything out of it. My facts tell me and show me that somebody is using our power throughout the daytime hours, and we're not getting any credit for it at all anywhere. I don't even believe that we're selling it during the day and then it's being bought back at night. I see no credit, zero. I also look at the bill, and I see that it actually says that the bill is a, what does it say here? The net surplus compensation option that I know a lot of people get is ineligible. And why is that ineligible? So that's a fact, and I think that's a travesty. So really, everything else you've heard, and you don't need me to repeat it all. But please consider what's going on with Hope, and like he found out, you guys are the prime. You have the power to correct this, and we want you to correct it. Another thing that I would like to address based on something I heard tonight was this woman, Jackie, and the Sheriff's Department. And Captain, you guys do a great job. You really do, and it is appreciated. I know I appreciate it personally, and I'm friends with some of the people in your office, and you guys do a really good job. It's sad that something like that had to happen, but please continue to do the service that you're providing, because it is working and it is helping. And I know you got a lot of things to work on, you know. So thank you for that. But yes, please look at the facts, all the facts. You guys have the power to change this. Please do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergio Aviles. Sergio? Okay, we'll call Joe Polomera.
Good evening, City Council. I'm so honored. I think this is my second time being up here in the many, many years I spent in Pico Rivera. I'm a proud graduate. I know a lot of people aren't proud to graduate from their high schools, but I'm so proud of El Rancho. I really am. Like, I love the honors classes I took. I love the AP classes I took. I loved Mr. Elias's economics class, where he would ask us these critical thinking questions and concerning decisions that Congress had made. And we would come up with an answer, and he'd be like, wow. He'd say, congratulations, you're smarter than Congress. And it was so inspiring. So him along with Ms. Chavez, who was another great influence when she was leading Link Crew, and I was a proud Link Crew leader as well. They inspired me to be a leader. They inspired me to take charge. They inspired me to not just learn, but to apply what I've learned. And I was, shortly before graduating, I was so excited to go to UC Riverside for neuroscience. And one day I came to this church. I was invited by a girl I liked, and I walked into a youth group called Sozo. my entire life changed. My entire life changed. And from that day, I dedicated my life to this community, to this church. I'm now the youth pastor of the youth group that brought so much love, hope, and joy into my life. My father committed suicide when I was 5 years old. I lost my mother to cancer 3 years ago. But my hope is that if you talk to me and if we hang out, if we get coffee, you wouldn't know any of that. Because though I'm missing those parents, man, I have plenty of moms and dads in this crowd. I really do. I have plenty of brothers and sisters in this crowd. And my experience with this church is what we are trying to give to the children and to the youth of this very community. And for $1,000 to be taken from us unjustly every single month, just like my friend Mike said, you're taking it from the very programs, like the intern program that many people have talked about today. Did you know that's free? Every intern, whether they do it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we're paying for that. We don't require them to pay for anything. Also, I was the first intern. I was the first one to say, you know what, Pastor Drew, this is something that I want to do. So please, you already know what the right thing to do is. You already do. So do it.
Thank you, Mr. Palomera. Next is Fred Rudometkin. Did I do it correctly? You're giving me tongue twisters here.
Madam Mayor, council members, I love Hope Community. I just want to say that I grew up in this city along with my wife. We were raised here and we graduated El Rancho High School. We raised our kids here, and I've been at Hope Community for about 52 years. I'll just talk a little bit about the rich history of our church because there's a lot of people here that are in business. And I don't know, Hope has always reached out to the city. We've been a light. We've done a lot of volunteering here. There's business owners in our church that practice business in this city. We've had a postmaster come out of our church and even an LA Raiders player back in the day, Bob Voigt, who was on my dad's usher team. This was 1960, so it's a long time ago. So I love that rich history. Hope Community, as you've heard, is energy efficient. We're nonprofit, which is really important. I know I'm reiterating, so many people have talked about this, but when we put a new roof on the North Sanctuary, it does not have an attic. And so they had to be a little bit creative, and they came up with something that's called a cool vent system. And this is what it looks like. It's insulation that actually goes on the wood, and then you put your shingles on over that. And it was very costly. So again, efficiency, energy efficient. I think many people here have solar panels. And why do we buy those solar panels? I mean, clean energy saves money, and that's what we're about. We wanted to save money. And we purchased our solar panels in 2019. And it's funny now, our electricity bill is higher now in 2022 as of last month, pre-solar. So we're upside down. And so, what happened? Some people have said creative billing. Maybe a loophole was found. I don't know. But I just asked the city, the leaders, council, city manager, please correct this absurd, unbalanced, unclear form of billing. And like everybody else has said, please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, well, that's present from my list, is Curtis Janasek. I'm sorry, correct me if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Everybody mispronounces it, so it's okay.
How do you pronounce it correctly?
It's Janzak.
Janzak.
Yep. So, let me talk about my family that's here. My family grows every week with the people that you don't see here. Just within this room, I represent as many kids as would fit and fill this room right now. And, we can all work with budgets within our family homes, work with budgets within the city. We can all work together. And what's the reason for a budget? It's to provide solutions for things that we need. But when something comes in and starts peeling away that layer, you have to start pulling away from other things. And boy, it would hurt my heart to not be able to partner with Bob Archuleta or the city in the way that we've done in the past with Christmas events, with free kids camps, with the different events that we have that go onto the church to serve the community, to bring a solution. Like each and every person that you see here is somebody who gives to a kid. Each and every person is somebody here who hugs somebody who's crying when there's something that goes wrong. Because we represent a first response to provide solutions to the city. And so we can take all of that and we see what's happening with electricity, not just here at our church, but also in general. There's inflationary pressures all over the place. And to sit there and build 130 solar panels, put it on the roof, and then 2 years later, you're paying more than what you originally started with. It reminds me of a time when I was a kid, selling candy door to door and going, hey, would you like to buy a candy for $1? And somebody would say, yes, I'll buy it. And you end up with that last piece of candy. And I remember somebody buying that last piece of candy and telling me, I'll buy that. And then they turned around and said, but how about you buy it from me for $2 instead of the one that I just paid you? How cruel is that? How cruel. And I'm not here to highlight things that, well, I guess I'm here to highlight things that can change, because the city council represents the authority that they can exercise for Prime to reevaluate what's happening. And we can sit here and say, do something for Hope Community. Absolutely. But we can't be the only people in the community that are dealing with this pressure. We can't be. We can't be the only church that has solar panels. We can't be the only house that has solar panels. I mean, I look at it and go, wow, is the lights that are turned on in this building right now supplied from the power that we generated at 3:50 p.m. because 4 p.m. hasn't quite kicked in? Maybe that was just saved a little bit. I know that we can do better. I know that you can do better. We appreciate each and every one of you. We love each and every one of you. We are here to support you, but we also need your support as well. And that's where this all comes from. We want to be part of a solution. We are filling and being a solution, but we also need your help in this regard so that we can continue to do what we do best, and that's to love and serve our community around us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy City Clerk, do we have any public comment via Zoom?
Madam Mayor, we have none.
Do we have any public comment via email?
Madam Mayor, we have none.
City Manager, do you have any update or comment regarding this? And I would also like to remind my colleagues, we may not extensively discuss any items that are not currently on the agenda, but I do want to give the City Manager an opportunity to address some of this concern.
Yes, Mayor, we have been working with Hope Community Church. We're looking for viable solutions. We had a meeting today internally with Councilman Lara and staff. So we are actively trying to look for some possible solutions, and we think we're meeting with Hope tomorrow to bring them up to speed as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in as well. I want to remind our public as well as parishioners, there are other methods. So I know there are people that work. You can send email to public comments at pico-rivera.org. And you can also call in via Zoom. So if anyone is feeling ill or working, they can call in. You don't have to sit here for 2 hours to share with us your information. But thank you very much, everyone, for coming in this evening. I'd like to move on to our city agenda. Next, we have our consent calendar items number 3 and 4, and 18 through 22.
Madam Mayor, you have the remainder of the items, 6, 7.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. 3 and 4. I'm sorry. We removed item 5. So 3 through 6, minus 5. Sorry. You know what I meant. Minus 5. All items 3 through 22, minus item number 5. Sorry.
Madam Mayor, it's number 5 and also
I'm sorry, that's a non,
No, 5 was removed. 5 was removed.
correct, 5. Apologies.
Number 5 was removed.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass these remaining items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
Can you repeat that, please? I didn't quite hear you under your mask.
I basically gave the motion that we pass these consent items, and then it was seconded by Councilmember Camacho.
I do want to pull item 10 for discussion, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Being that there was an extension, extensive.
City Attorney?
We can pass the remainders and then take 10 after the
Separately.
remaining consent items are passed.
Okay.
Very good.
Motion to pass items, all items under consent calendar minus items that were removed, number 5 and 10. Thank you. And that second remains?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and now let's discuss item 10. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, on item 10, being that there was an extensive commentary on these items and these topics, I would like to move this to a later date.
So that would be a motion to continue the item to a later meeting?
Correct.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor, do you want to do a roll call? Let's do a roll call.
Council members Elias,
Aye.
Camacho,
Yes.
Lara,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Mayor Dr. Sanchez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we have the items under our Water Authority consent calendar, items number 9 through 22. Oh, wait, did we already pass those? We already passed those correctly, sorry. Next, we have our regular agenda items, which are number 24. Do we have a presentation regarding that?
Madam Mayor, I have just a brief summary. The City Attorney's Office with staff have worked on a draft ordinance that establishes council term limits. Per the direction of council at a previous meeting, the City Attorney's Office has drafted a draft ordinance consistent with the direction that was provided by the City Council, which is attached. So what you have before you tonight is an opportunity to provide any feedback on the draft ordinance. And also, if the City Council is agreeable to the form, you can direct the city staff and City Attorney's Office to bring back a resolution to place this item before you at the next meeting that would call and place this item for the November election.
Mr. City Attorney, I have a question. I am aware that various cities throughout the county have been contacted regarding a lawsuit pursuing in the cities to be forced to be in district. Has there been any correspondence or any issues regarding our city or our neighboring cities?
Madam Mayor, this is item 24 regarding term limits. I believe the redistricting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
is an issue
Yeah.
of 25. Yeah.
Got it. Wrong item. I'll save that question for the next time. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'd like to second that.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
And council, just to confirm, that's to approve the form and direct staff to bring back a resolution with the attached draft ordinance?
That is correct.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, if I may ask a question here of the city attorney, if there's additional items we'd like to correct, modify, or add to 24, we will have time at a later date to do this.
When the resolution is presented back to council, if there are changes to the ordinance, it can be made then as well. But there is a timing aspect of getting the resolution and the draft ordinance submitted to the county in time. The deadline is roughly, I think, August 12th. August 12th.
So in short, we get the ball rolling now, and if there are any changes that we want to add, we can.
To the ordinance, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Did we do roll call vote? No, call a roll call vote.
Council members Elias,
Aye.
Camacho,
Yes.
Lara,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Mayor Dr. Sanchez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is number 25, the discussion regarding in-districts. City Attorney, do you have a summary of that as well?
This item was presented as just a discussion item. There's no presentation or discussion, rather to provide council with a forum to discuss these issues.
Thank you. Can you address my question?
Sure. I spoke to the city manager. There is no record of receiving any complaints or letters demanding districts at this point.
Thank you. Any comments from the council? Councilmember Lara.
Yeah, I'm the one who requested that this item be brought for discussion. I wanted to have an open and frank discussion with my colleagues in regards to the potential of moving our citywide elections and into voting districts. I think it's a fair discussion to have, given that our neighboring cities such as Downey, Montebello, and Whittier are either moving to or have moved to voting districts. If hypothetically there were 5 voting districts in the city of Pico Rivera, then each district could be comprised of 13,000 residents, given that there's 60 to 65 residents in the city of Pico Rivera. Or there would be 6,000 voters, because not every resident votes. Maybe they're not of age, maybe just they don't get around to it. So the number of voters will always be less than the actual number of residents. So each district could be comprised of, hypothetically, of 6,000 voters instead of 30,000. Citywide, it's 30,000, approximately. But each district could be 6,000. Given that the city has moved to even year elections, at one point the city was on odd year elections. As a result, there would be a lower voter turnout. But given that we are on even year elections now, the number of voters has exploded, which is a good thing. However, the expense of capturing or doing outreach to 30,000 voters becomes very expensive. The ability to run an effective campaign with mailers, door hangers, phone calls, knocking on doors, trying to convince people that you're a good candidate and that they should invest their vote in you takes a lot of money. It takes at least $30,000 to run for city council if you want a decent, effective campaign. But the question is, whose money is that, right? When people run for candidacy or for an office, whose money are they running on? Are they running on their money, or are they running on contractors' money or special interest money? Then who do they really represent once they sit up here? And I raise that question, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, and I'm not imputing any wrong motives with anyone, because this can happen on a city level, on a county level, on a state level, on a federal level. People are running for office, and it's not their money. So other people are investing in them, and they hope to get return. So voting districts would do a number of things. If we broke up the city of Pico Rivera into 5 voting districts, it would decrease the amount of voters a candidate would have to reach out to. And that might be a good thing, because then realistically, 6,000 voters, if you start early enough, you could cover that territory. You could knock on someone's door, introduce yourself, and really explain why you're voting, why you're running for office. You would be running in the midst of neighbors. Right? You'd be running around people who live around you. And then that member from that district would represent and advocate for that area of the city of Pico Rivera. Because there has been, in my estimation, historically, parts of the city that have been neglected, like the north side. How do we correct that? Well, if you divide up the city in a way, you could have 2 council members directly from the north side, directly advocating for those services and funding to go there, your roads, increasing your water pressure, more of a police presence. So that's why I bring this item, because I think, last thing I'll say, democracy or running for office has unfortunately become an exercise of a very limited few. Either you're rich or you're willing to take other people's money for it, right? It's run away from the average citizen. And if the median income is $45,000 in the city of Pico Rivera, people don't have $30,000 to run for election. But by going towards districts, it would make it less expensive, and it would, I think, make it a little bit more personable.
Thank you, Councilmember. And we would have probably 5 districts. 6,000 would be 30,000 people, so probably 12,000 people per district if we divide by 5. Mayor Pro Tem, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councilman Lara, for your perspective on that. Listening to all your points, I took in the information. I took it in as a resident of Pico Rivera. And as a resident of Pico Rivera, with all due respect, I could care less if it's going to cost you more money or there's more doors that you got to go knock on to talk to the people. Part of the job. Part of the job. So my perspective is, if your heart is in it and you want to represent the community, and that's the cost that you have to pay, then that's what you have to do. I'm not going to make a decision so that the costs of running for an election are cheaper for a council member next time around. You got to earn it, however way you can. And people can see the value that you bring to the table. You bring value, and the rest of the council bring value. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not interested in reducing the cost for a council member or any elected official to reduce their costs so they can guarantee their win in their election. I'd like to maintain the way the election process is exactly the way it is, because it is a small community, and you can make your way through the entire community over the period of the election season. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, comments?
You know, one of the benefits of being old is that I have history to be able to rely on. If you take a look at the past councils here, a majority were always from the South. In fact, I even had one councilman, and I remember this because we were talking about some of the needs of the North, was that he said Pico Rivera ends at Whittier Boulevard. Now, I'm from the North, okay? Used to live right next to the water tank. And when you walk the precincts, you understand and you see that there's areas that have not been represented, And, you know, that's the problem that we have here. We have a diverse community, a very diverse community, an economically diverse community. I was reminded that we have houses of $1 million. We have houses in Pico Rivera of $1 million. Okay, when I first came to Pico Rivera, they were $10,000. So, you know, it's a situation that we've changed, and the needs of the community have changed. There's diverse needs. So I support the districts. I support the district because of just fairness and equity. We need to start developing the North. We really do. We need to, there's 2 different cities when you travel over there. And we need the representation, again, from every citizen around this area. So I'm in support of districts.
Councilmember Camacho, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Lara, for bringing this discussion to us for us to determine what direction to take. I do see the value of this discussion. As a former president of the California Contract Cities Association that represents 42 cities in Los Angeles County that have advocated for this community, in Sacramento. A lot is happening in Sacramento. I've been able to see the pros and cons of these districts, but I do believe that it warrants for us to really take a look at it and do the research and determine how, if any, it fits in our community and bring the value to it. And I'd like to ask the mayor if she provides this opportunity for Councilmember Lara and I to set up an ad hoc to look deeply into these districts and see where it takes us.
Yes, Councilmember Lara.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that, and I'd like to work with you on that and bring back what we find. But just one last comment about the money. I'm not interested in making it easier for myself because, see, when I ran for the city, I actually put up $20,000 of my own money. I haven't taken money from contractors. I took $1,000 from the union because I believe in unions. I believe in hardworking jobs. But even to this day, I haven't taken money from contractors. And they hit me up. They say, hey, we really like you. What do you need? I don't need anything. I'm fine. I'm good. So it's not about making it easier for me. It's about making it easier for the next Andrew Lara that's sitting in that audience. It's about making it easier for that person who wants to see change, make a difference, but because they're not connected, because they don't got $20,000 sitting in their bank, right? I want to make it easier for them, for you, not for me. I'm fine. I've been here, right? Another 2 years, I'll be happy to walk away. But I want to make it easier for the next person. And that's what I'm about. Thanks.
Thank you. I would like to comment on this as well. I definitely see the benefits, but there are also sometimes unintended consequences of our policies and actions. I'm aware of what's going on in other cities. There have been lawsuits brought forward by other cities due to an argument of lack of diversity on council. I'm a minority, as you know, on council, as the only woman, the only mother, and there haven't been any council member women for over a decade. So it was a challenge, and I do live on the north side. I'm aware that past Whittier Boulevard, there's nowhere to shop but the Cruz Dairy. And so there are some unintended consequences, including gerrymandering. So if not saying that it would be me, I feel that there should be a independent body that would determine those maps and how it would be broken down. That would not include individuals, especially that are up for re-election or on the council, because that would benefit one of us that are already in the seats. So I think it needs to be an independent committee to determine those maps. I think that also there are challenges with having districts. For instance, we only have enough money for one dog park. We only have enough money for one swimming pool right now. Let's say that our swimming pool is at Smith Park. Other council members may vote no because that pool is not in their district. And therefore, we will not be able to move forward with those types of projects because there will be infighting among council members from their district because they want that swimming pool in their district only. So it may create some infighting amongst councils rather than being a cohesive city and determining ideal location within our city. We're a small city of only 9 square miles. And so I definitely support looking into the benefits, but let's look into the negative, possible even unintended consequences that may occur due to this. And let's look at some of the other cities that have already moved forward with this and use some of them as a lesson. So I think definitely we could create an ad hoc of various members to be determined, and we'll work with the city attorney to see what they advise and what type of committee that looks like. So that's my comment for that. Thank you. And this requires no action currently, does it? Or do we need to direct the?
We got the ad hoc that would be set up. So
Okay, direction towards the ad hoc. Thank you. So we'll move on with our next agenda item is our city manager / staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I have 3 items I just want to give council an update. The first is our Veterans Resource Center. As you recall, there was direction and funding set aside to establish a Veterans Service Center, a resource center. We were awaiting the county to give us an MOU. The potential location was the LA County Library. After waiting for several months, for a few months, we contacted Supervisor Han's office for assistance. It was dragging. We finally received the MOU on April 1st. However, that being said, we continued to search for viable options. There were some concerns by a VSO about the viability of the library. So I'm going to give you I'm going to turn it over to Mike to give you a quick overview of our efforts. We are probably at this point about a month and a half away with the location at our senior center. But again, we'll just give you a quick overview of what we've done over the past few months.
So while that PowerPoint's turning up, next slide, Gabriel. I worked with one of my economic development analysts, and we're looking at different ways that we could analyze a good location, not only city-owned, but privately owned properties. Next slide. So while we're doing it, we're trying to keep in mind what the purpose of the Veteran Resource Center would be and what the size of that area might need to accommodate pamphlets and literature. Would there be room for private meetings with individuals who might be filing claims for medical or for financial assistance as veterans? Next slide. Then we wanted to look at what have the service demands been at other locations, Norwalk, Whittier, La Puente. The Norwalk location provided a lot of information for us. Next slide. And actually gave us usage data and the number of interactions that each of the volunteers had. And these were from the 2018, 2019, and 2019-2020 fiscal years. Next slide. So we had very little usage coming from the county library location that Norwalk uses for their Veterans Resource Center. So we wanted to look at whether that would work. And it was perfect timing because we met with the Veterans Ad Hoc on March 7th. Thank you, Mayor Sanchez and Councilmember Elias, for leading that. Next slide. It gave us a better idea about the staffing that would be required in a location like this. In particular, working with Kenny Garcia was able to give us an idea about what a Veterans Service officer can do with regard to filing claims, compared to those who would be serving as a volunteer and assisting with handing out pamphlets and information to folks who are just coming to find out about different resources. Next slide. And so we also wanted to look at how city staff could supplement. If it was at the county library, would we have to send people over if that veteran service officer or if a volunteer was out for the day, sick, on vacation, you name it. So we took that into consideration while we were doing our site selection. Next slide. And one of the important things that came up was that Whittier, the Whittier Veteran Resource Center, Kenny and Councilmember Elias went and looked at the Veteran Resource Center in Whittier, Norwalk, and La Puente. So we wanted to make sure that there were some private areas if counseling needed to be had, as well as to make sure that there was proper area for a cubicle or even shelving just to hold and maintain pamphlets. And so based on that information for March 7th, we started looking at available office sites. Next slide. That were not only, we wanted to make sure that they had accessibility, that there was ample parking, the restrooms and counters were accessible in case an individual needed to have accessibility with regard to height and door access. And so when we were looking, next slide, when we were looking at space requirements, we wanted to also make sure that there was backup staff in case somebody was out sick or on another type of leave, and that there should be a private area and there should have basic office equipment available to that Veteran Resource Center. Next slide. We looked at 5 different locations within the city that provided office space that were for lease at the time. There were very few of them that had full accessibility with regard to the American Disabilities Act. And so the senior center and the city hall we thought would be a better opportunity. Go to the next slide. We were looking at different centers, and I'm sorry, this is mislabeled. This is actually the city hall, private, city-owned. I was talking about private earlier, but we tried to analyze each location, whether it was where the Al Natividad Center, where the Chamber of Commerce is located, Rivera Park, Pico Park, City Hall. Next slide. But then again, we were looking at if we were to look at leasing private space within privately owned locations, the rents at that time are going anywhere from 1,200 to 3,400 square feet, and they were in need of some ADA modifications that if they were going to function as a good veteran resource center. Next slide. And these are the specific locations of privately owned spaces that were for lease at the time and available. Next slide. There are different locations. The identified pins here in yellow are the private, publicly owned, city-owned locations. And then the red are the locations that are privately owned. So there were different locations throughout the city. Next slide. And after looking at all this information, it did appear that the senior center would provide the most viable option for conducting a Veterans Resource Center. It would be a good location for staff to be there from the senior center in case a volunteer wasn't there during the day, or to assist with getting an individual onto the calendar for a potential veteran service officer who may be staffing that to help with filing claims. I think that's the last slide, Gabriel, and so it was a little exercise that our new analyst undertook. He would normally be here. I wanted him to be here to make the presentation. This was going to be his first PowerPoint, but presentation before you all, but unfortunately he was out today. But we think the senior center would be the most viable option at this point, and we're at the process of working with Pam and senior center staff, Director Ugart and her staff, to see how we could make that option come to fruition. So,
thank you, Director Garcia. When we attended the ad hoc meeting, there was some concern that existing programs would be displaced. I know the senior center is a very active center. So was that negotiated or discussed with the senior center coordinator?
Yes, we were looking at a location. It was the area at the northwest corner of the senior center. It's a private room that's got an exit directly out to facing out towards Smith Park parking lot. It looks like there could be a cubicle in there. And then I think we're also looking at an area in the foyer that could be used for holding the pamphlets and materials about the Veteran Resource Center.
Yes, Mayor, I think Pam had identified a particular location where it would be the intake center. Then following up with that, scheduling with the VSO based upon the availability. It could be done either at the senior center at an area. It's not too private, so there's also an alternative location at Rivera Park that could possibly be a viable option for privacy sakes. In addition, when we bring up, we also have a category for Veterans Resource Center that we're going to develop. It's in our virtual city hall, and you'll see that at the next presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Lara? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand, sorry. No. Councilmember Lutz.
That's good information. Thank you. Thank you for the update.
Councilmember Lutz, Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Great presentation. I'm just looking forward on the ribbon cutting. When can we anticipate ribbon cutting?
I expect we're trying to get it done within 1 to 2 months. So that's the timeline. It's been an exhausting effort. Again, we wanted to make sure we did it right. We explored all options, both in the public and the private sector. So ultimately, this is the location that rise to the top.
Councilmember Elias or Camacho? Go ahead.
We think it's a great choice. In fact, I have 2 members of the old ad hoc committee, veterans right there. Marty, what do you think? What do you think, sir?
I like it. I think it's accessible, not just that, but it's also close to the monument, which is kind of a close environment thing too.
70% of the veterans that require our service are senior citizens. Okay, so it's a situation where it's very natural, very natural, and the fact that we're developing that that remote capability deals with the younger veterans that have the propensity to use technology and so on. So this is a great fit. This is a great fit.
Thank you, Councilmember Camacho.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is great that we're finally coming to the point of providing this center for veterans to provide the actual service. I know that it was researched previous locations that it was just not suitable, and we have control. It's like, the library was an example of the fact that, reminds me of, Pastor Drew and Hope Community. We pay 50% of that library, and yet the county was going to charge us for it, for having a space there. So it's just not making any sense. So I think that, but at the end of the day, I believe the approach of the city council was never to just put a name on a building, but rather making sure that we have the substance to provide the services to the residents and to the veterans in particular. So I think the fact that we have the senior center, we can get this off the ground within a month and provide service. And then as this VRC is implemented, and we have a Veterans Resource Officer, which we have someone that happens to leave the city that's a Veterans Resource Officer in the County of Los Angeles, which to be expert in that arena. I think we can, begin the services and determine to what extent to expand that services and what we're missing, because the veterans might, as we develop this, determine that, you're missing a couple of components here, and I think, but let's get this off the ground. And I believe the Senior Center is a viable location. And as mentioned, it's right next to our Veterans Memorial Plaza that is a pride of our community as well. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Thank you. I want to commend the staff for putting in the effort. And I was sworn in as mayor on December 15th, and we've done this less than 1 year. I want to thank all of the veterans that served on the ad hoc, because none of us up here are veterans. So we thank you for your input as well. Look forward to continuing your input as this develops, and looking forward to serving you and hoping that this center will really do something. I want to put a plug as well that we are also established our Veterans Commission. We're currently accepting applications. Each one of us will be able to pick one resident veteran or auxiliary member, and you can reach out to the city clerk's office or online if you're still interested. There is an application, and if you're interested, we are going to start that process, and these veterans and committee members will be advising us basically on the needs of the veterans, because none of us up here are veterans, but we're here to serve you. And so I want to thank you and the staff and all of the veterans, everyone, for helping make this possible in less than 1 year. So thank you very much. Thank you. Anything else for staff report?
Yes, Gabe, can you bring up the city manager's report? I just wanted to bring to your attention, this is the third edition of the City Manager Report. Again, giving information of some of the accomplishments we had in the previous month. As we kind of scroll up, I'm not going to get through all of this. We send it out. We actually also send this out to our other elected officials, supervisor's office, assembly person. They really appreciate our congresswoman getting an update from the city on all the positive things that we're doing. So they really appreciate that. I do want to bring your attention to an update on our virtual city hall. After June, beginning in July, there will be a new way to engage City Hall. This is something that I want to thank Javier Hernandez, our IT staff, and also a lot of folks throughout the city that put a lot of time and effort into kind of creating this. This is a long endeavor. There are some things that we're going to still continue to work out. But I'm going to turn it over to Javier to kind of describe what we're doing now to engage the city as we move forward.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, and esteemed guests here tonight. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to present this and finally bring this forward. I know it's something that's been a long time coming. The council back in October of 2020 felt it was necessary and important for members of the community in the midst of COVID to have yet another option to participate in the civic process. Obviously attending, this is actually one of the first meetings where we have this many people in the council chamber. It was obviously very difficult to participate. So we sought out to develop an entirely new platform. At first glance, it's going to appear very much like a new website and a new app for your phone, your mobile device. But frankly, it's a lot more than that. It's really a platform that is designed to be intuitive, supposed to be a lot easier to use, user-friendly. It also supports transparency, something that the council has expressed upon us as staff to ensure that we're much more transparent about the information that we share with our community. So let me just run through a couple of the new functions and features that you'll find. The new website, the virtual City Hall, is up and live in today's online environment. We will complete the full transition from the old website to the new website July 1st. On July 2nd, we'll be making a big announcement at the firework festival taking place at Smith Park, where we'll be announcing it to the vast majority of our residents here. And then shortly thereafter, we'll commence a pretty comprehensive outreach and engagement program to inform, educate, raise awareness about this new tool that is accessible to nearly anyone that has access to technology. Now, I do want to just emphasize one thing. This is not designed to replace any old way of engaging with the city, simply just a new way, a new option to participate with the city. So let me just quickly run through a couple of features. I won't belabor it, because I really do encourage everybody to just simply visit the new website, download the new app, and explore it on your own, and then submit questions as necessary. Let's see here. So in the city manager's report, you can actually find the new city manager's report on the new city website. And it provides you with the links to all of this information here. Just give it a second to load. So again, the overall intent is to make it a lot easier to utilize, to find what you need, what you're looking for. It's easier to submit service requests within the city. So if you have a light bulb out on your light street, if you have a pothole you'd like to report, well, you'd want to go to this button here. You click on here, the city service request tile. It takes you right to our new system that allows you to submit practically any request that you'd like to submit. Maybe it's a complaint about something going on in your neighborhood, something that needs to be fixed or addressed. Maybe a pipe is leaking. Anything that you might encounter in your community, you can find it here in this pretty extensive list. You don't necessarily have to scroll through this. Again, it's designed to be intuitive. You type in, I don't have a keyboard here, but you type in pothole and it'll bring up every single option related to potholing. All right, so if you also want to track city council meetings or other public meetings, you can go to the Meetings and Agenda Center that we've created for you guys here. So this gives you the full agenda for tonight's meeting, allows you to sign up for public comment, allows you to submit public comments directly through here. You can also keep a tab on plans and projects, whether they're old, whether they're in process or completed. You can go here and you can identify whichever project that may be of interest to you. A lot of these are just kind of fillers. We're really focusing, obviously, to meet the deadline for July 1st, but in time, the idea is that all of these projects will be filled with content. Again, the overall idea is to inform you of everything that's going on in the city. And if there's something that really draws your attention, for example, maybe there's a new park that's coming up in town right next to Hope Community Church, right? You might want to sign up for updates, news alerts, or whatever that may be. Whatever you're interested in, it's going to be that much easier to sign up for alerts and updates on those particular items of interest. All right. To download the app, all you do is you scroll right down to the bottom here, right? And you click on whichever mobile device you use personally. So if you use an iPhone, you click here. If you use a Samsung, yep, go ahead, pull out your phones. Feel free. Hopefully it doesn't crash. We also provide you with an update on a monthly basis on all the things that are being reported to the city and the things that we're addressing. So if you submit a pothole request, it'll tell you right here how many potholes we're filling or how many bulky items are getting picked up throughout the city. Another thing that's also pretty neat, we've also set up this news and applications archive. So if you want to dig into the archives about news and alerts that we've had in the past, you have the ability to do that here. We're going to be setting this up for almost all new applications and publications that we have in the city, including our city budget, city agendas, whatever it is, any and all information. We're going to store that here in a much more easy to find fashion. Again, I'm not going to belabor it or go through every single feature and function that you can find here. Again, it's very, very comprehensive. It's taken us about 2 years to get to this point. And we're very excited to essentially announce that we're going live and fully transitioning from the old website to the new website here on July 1st. So with that, I open it up to any questions from the council.
Questions from the council? Councilmember Lara.
First off, thank you. I love it. Secondly, will it have push notifications?
Yes, it will.
So like when the profile comes out, I'll get a notification saying profile and I can bring it up on my app.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that question because in order to get push notifications, there's a very important thing you have to do, and that's sign up for a user account. So that way that user account would be where you would set up all of those push notifications. So we not only encourage you to download the app, but also to establish a user account.
Lastly, I hope we get buy-in from our community groups. In the sense that it would be great if our community groups promoted the app, because then it would make our city more efficient in regards to business that we have to do in terms of taking care of our streets, lighting, graffiti, things of that nature. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. If I may, just to that point, we do plan on going on tour and actually getting out in the community and helping folks better understand the full capacity and capabilities of this new virtual city hall.
Yeah, you'll be seeing our pop-up booths throughout the community, encouraging people to download the app.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Outstanding. I can't wait to download the app. Question about the profile. I know we discussed about the profile being in several languages. Will that be accessible on July 1st?
Yes, it will. As a matter of fact, we do have the ability. I'm not signed in here, unfortunately, but when you establish a user account and you set your settings, you can set it in whatever language you'd like. And the idea is that moving forward, the profile will be in any of all languages available today.
Great. And will there be a section for the community to insert, say, established nonprofits to put events that are occurring?
We can make that definitely available. We're in the, one of the things that's on our list of things to improve now that we have this major starting point is a complete and comprehensive master calendar for all of Pico Rivera, and we can certainly incorporate that into that calendar function as well.
Great. I appreciate that. And the other important item, when there are vacancies in City Hall, is there a section there that the community can access potential jobs?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we made that very visible and easy to find. You go right to the bottom left-hand corner of the quick links where you have city jobs. In this here, again, you can set up push notifications in any which format you'd like, whether it's a push notification, an email notification, a text notification. All that will be set up in the near future. But this here is exactly that functionality that you're requesting.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Looking forward to it.
Councilmember Camacho.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. This is great work here. I know it takes a lot to build an infrastructure of this nature to make sure you add all the quality content that is easy for the community to read as well. You know, sometimes we create websites and we make it more complicated and it's not user-friendly. So I think this is a great opportunity to provide all the content that we're doing here in the city, because we're talking about holding staff accountable, holding city council accountable, that we do what we say we're going to do, and this community can see those projects as they materialize in their communities, in their streets, and in addition, as it relates to transparency, everything's there, and if something's missing, then let's address it and put it in there. But I think that's great, and the fact that you highlighted the Pat Park next to Hope Community Church, as we continue to look at our city for different uses of these properties, because we are a built-out city. We're trying to get creative, and the fact that we were able to purchase this lot through a grant, or in the process of purchasing the lot with the City of Montebello. I just spoke to Congresswoman Linda Sanchez. She gave me an update as to the funding to operate and build the park, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll have the funding. It's going through all the committees, and it should be coming out of the House and going to the Senate pretty soon, and by 2023 we can start building this park. And Pastor, I hope you make this your community park as well and help us keep it safe and clean for all the community to enjoy and so forth. So thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for this, and the entire staff. This was a major undertaking. It looks simple when you see it, but I know there's a lot of work that went behind this.
Councilmember Elias.
I get harassed by my students, okay? They're seniors, all right? And every time I send them to the website, they laugh at me. They said, is this the way they did it in 1993? Okay, so it was time that we got this thing updated. So I really appreciate it. And again, I'm going to be proud to be able to show my students that we've updated. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else for staff report?
Yes, I have one last item, Pam. Again, it never ceases to amaze me. This community cares for our residents, cares for our kids. As you know, our pool is down. The easy thing for folks to do is just to say it's down. Let's wait. However, Park and Rec staff took it to heart. They reached out to different cities, and I'd like to acknowledge the City of Whittier, City of Commerce, and it was Rosemead as well, correct? These were cities that stepped up. They're helping us provide their pools and being open for our residents. So I'm going to turn it over to Pam to talk a little bit about that, and we have a quick little video just to highlight.
Sure. As a former lifeguard, it's really important to me to have opportunities for our kids to go swimming. And with the climate issues happening, it's so hot, I was really concerned that we wouldn't have any type of programs for our kids this summer and for the parents. So in about January, I reached out to my local colleagues, my friends in our profession, and I asked them for help as they would come to me if they needed help and we could provide it. And so Rosemead, Whittier, and Commerce offered their pools up to us. And so we have a sold-out program this summer. We weren't sure if anyone would sign up or if families would like it, and they love it. So we took them to Commerce this past Monday, and we've got a video to show you. And on August 1st, which is really cool, our colleagues over at the City of Commerce are throwing a community picnic for us. So they're inviting all of our residents and children to come over to go swimming, and they're also going to have a barbecue for us, and they're covering it. So, I mean, we're really excited to have such great neighbors.
And 4th of July as well?
Oh, yes, please come. Well, it's the 2nd of July. So this coming Saturday, we invite everybody over to El Rancho High School for our festivities. It will be from 5 o'clock to 9:30. Our launch is at 9, so we encourage you all to get there, get parked, and get your blankets on the ground, and we'll be having a wonderful event.
Great. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, thank you.
That concludes my reports.
Thank you. What about, in addition, our food, our lunch program? Breakfast and lunch, actually.
Yes. Well, every day, Monday through Friday, we have our lunch summer food service program, and I like the menu this year. Yeah, I really do. They got meatball sandwiches, and I feel like they upped up their menu, so we're really excited about that. But we have 4 sites that you can come and enjoy lunch at, or breakfast, and we encourage you to do so. And that'll be happening until the first week of August.
Thank you, and I want to put a plug as well that volunteers are needed to help serve food, and I will be there on Thursday serving lunch. So if you have any free time, breakfast or lunch, go out and help serve food to the children.
Thank you for that.
Let's move on to our good of the order, AB 1234 reports, new business and old business. I want to remind colleagues that, especially if it pertains to new business, we must not discuss anything that's not on the agenda. So, but as we're heading into our 3rd hour of the council meeting, let's keep our comments brief, especially if it's regarding new business. So let's begin with Councilmember Camacho.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have some, wanted to address and give an update to something that Councilmember Lara and I have been working. Mayor Sanchez created the Infrastructure Ad Hoc Committee, and we've been tackling quite a few items as it relates to, beautification, as it relates to parks, as it relates to various other infrastructure. But one of the ones that we tackled was the fact that the city, the Parks and Recs Department, our director, has gone after Prop 68 funds for our parks, for Rio Hondo Park in particular, trying to get some money for our pool. As we know, our pool has been closed, hence we're going to other cities' pools. And unfortunately, even though second time around, we've submitted an application for Prop 68, which had no corrections, no errors. It was a perfect application, yet at the end of the day, we did not receive any funding from the application. And so through this, our Infrastructure Ad Hoc Committee, Councilman Lara and I got staff and everybody together and said, you know what, this is not acceptable. This is not right that we are not receiving any Prop 68 money. So we re-strategized, and we were able to bring somebody from Sacramento to help us out. Our relationships with both Senator Baba Chuleta and now our new Assembly Member Lisa Calderon, we began to devise a plan of how to best, with staff and the work that our director from Parks and Recs and Mr. Hernandez and our city manager had worked, and put in and say, look, what other fundings are out there available? And we noticed that there was obviously some funds out there from the governor's budget. And so we began to look at it and say, hey, how can we get some of that money that is significant, that is owed to us? Mind you, 60% of our green space is going to be lost because of the Whittier Dam Safety Improvement Project. And so we said, okay, let's go after these funds. And then we find out that in the budget, in the governor's categories of funding opportunities, parks and recreational space was not even available to get some of this money. But yet, that wasn't something that stopped us. We continue to push and have our meetings and have meetings with our assembly member, with our senator, Baba Chuleta, Lisa Calderon, and I know the mayor joined us in some of those calls to talk to both of our legislators. And so this was literally a long shot for us to get these funds. But as I recall, a meeting that we had with Senator Chuleta and staff, and the chief of staff on the call was basically kind of telling us that, look, you're asking for a lot of money, and I'm paraphrasing, and he said, almost telling me like $2 million should be good enough. And what I told him is, you know what, no, it's not good enough. $2 million. And so we want $8.5 million, and that's what the community deserves. And we kept pushing and pushing. And I know Councilman Lara will elaborate a little more on this, but long story short, at the end of the day, through our push, through the great work of our staff, and through the work of this committee, and this is why I value some of these ad hoc committees that are significant and valuable. As of yesterday, we received the news that we received $8.5 million for a Rio Hondo Park and $8.5 million for the pool. So we got a total of $17 million to our community that, thanks to Senator Baba Chuleta, which, by the way, I will say that I'm glad he's going to continue being our senator, and I know Hope Community had a lot of work involvement in that because he's done a great work, and I'm glad he's still our senator. And also Assembly Member Lisa Calderon, who is new representative of our city, has significant value. So I'm just happy to report, alongside with Councilmember Lara, that this is something that is going to be significant. There's a lot of work to be done, a lot of execution that needs to be put together. But I think because we have shovel-ready projects for both of those projects, we should be, looking sooner than later. Hopefully by 2023, we can get something up and running. So I'm just ecstatic, and I'm just happy that, we're able to do that. And what does that do? It actually frees up some additional funds for us to work on other projects as well. So this is a huge news for our community. And again, I can't thank Senator Archuleta and Assemblymember Calderon enough because they went to bat for us. And they definitely represent our community. And I'm happy that they are our representatives of our community. And so, it's something that we're going to move forward. And I'll leave. I think I took most of the stuff, but you can elaborate, Councilmember, on that. Very happy with that. Great things happening. But I don't want to have necessarily a discussion about it, Mayor, but I just wanted to address a couple items that were brought to us by our speakers today. And I know Pastor Drew came to us at the last council meeting and brought this issue to our attention. Yes, net zero is net zero. And I had a discussion with the city manager. I'm glad Councilman Lara has met and discussed this with you. I'm glad you brought the community here to tell us what's going on, because, our goal was to create this net zero. Our goal was to provide, reduce our carbon footprint. Our goal was to reduce, even if it's small, but, a little bit below Edison's rate. Our goal was to reward those who provide net zero. So what has happened in this anomaly, if I want to call you, and I don't know the details as of yet to find out, but I do want to address it, and I do want to make sure that we correct this wrong. And so...
Can I segue with that?
So
You can go down.
and so I just wanted to address that, and I want to continue pushing that forward and find out exactly where we are here. But count out, put at least my time, and I know the council feels the same way. There was other items that we mentioned, but I just want to address Mr. Morone has brought up the parking issue. Councilmember Elias and I have had 2 ad hoc meetings on parking, and I know we're addressing it citywide, looking at scenarios such as what you're dealing with. So know that we are addressing it. It's not as clear cut. We want to make sure we build equity. We also want to make sure that we address the reality that, Sacramento has changed a lot. Sacramento is really pushing for higher densification in our communities. They want us to build more homes in an area that was just, big enough for 1 home, but now they are saying build 4 homes, eliminate the parking restrictions, and giving developers by right opportunities. So if we have parking problems today, our parking problems are going to get worse tomorrow. So we're trying to address it citywide because these are not laws that we create. These are state laws that we create. So we need to be in tune to what's happening in Sacramento because what was how we used to govern in 10 years ago, and the ability as a city council to govern with the laws that we follow, state laws, has changed. And so you're going to see more of these types of issues and parking issues. And so we're trying to do what we can to curtail that impact as much as we can and reimagine our community in the way that we kind of figure out how do we move forward, because these are not laws that we are creating. These are laws that state government is creating that now we have to follow. But nevertheless, I hear you, and we have been talking about that, and we're trying to figure out what is the better solution for the entire city as a whole. I just wanted to comment on those two items. So that's all I have.
Do you have any AB 1234 travel committees, city committees?
I will continue that item for the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember,
I had a beginning in terms of meeting with the ad hoc, but I wanted to follow up on Councilman Camacho's concern about the community, okay, about the Hope community. Every day, they lose money. It's a situation that we have to be on top of it. We have to be on top of it. So what I'm asking the council tonight is a second on putting this item on the agenda so we have the accountability in terms of the progress, in terms of the discussions, in terms of what we need. So can I have a second to agendize this for next meeting?
Councilman Elias, should we be specific as to individuals that purchase solar panels?
There are actually two items here that we have to. You know, the idea that they're providing power is a situation where we're not looking for a discount. We're looking for a partnership. We're looking for a partnership. Now, for the other 501c3s that are under stress and so on, some type of relief. So it's a two-prong. It's a two-pronged situation, that we look at some kind of relief, you know, for our 501c3s, and that we take a look at our power generators as partners.
If I may, what if we have a meeting set for tomorrow with city staff and with Hope Community Church and hopefully some other members? Maybe it might be a little bit easier if we were to have our meeting and then we can report back to city council in terms of.
Councilman, I'm asking for a second to agendize this item.
Yeah, but I'm giving a reason why that may not be the best. It's for discussion.
I'm asking for a second.
Okay.
I second.
Mayor.
please hold your applause.
Mayor, if I may just say.
Yes, Councilmember Camacho.
Look, I do agree that we need to address this in immediate fashion, but let's do it right. You know, I mean, I think that the meeting that you are having tomorrow, we should be able to pinpoint where the problem's at. And we should be able to now come to with a recommendation, so we don't come to a council meeting to have a general conversation. I think we've had the general conversation already. I think the meeting that will be held tomorrow, pinpoint the problem, and let's bring a recommendation on how can we address it. And I think pinpointing that problem through this meeting will then allow us to see how this now compounds the problem to other nonprofits. So I do agree, let's do this immediately, but I also, you know, been here long enough to know let's do this right so we can get a true solution and not just a conversation.
Sure. Okay, we have a second. We don't need a vote on that, but City Manager, I also want to point out that I'm pretty sure they are not the only church in the city or entity or resident that may be dealing with this issue. So if you can also share in that ad hoc any other burden or complaints, or even pull all of the energy reports of people that have over $1,000 electricity bills and see what we can do to address this problem and help to prevent it in the future.
Yeah, we'll try and be as comprehensive as we can.
Thank you. Do you have any other items, Councilmember?
Okay. Yes, I wanted to report on our parking ad hoc and add to Councilman Camacho's comments on it. We have a very complex situation. We have 9 square miles, and we have a problem with parking, but it's in specific areas. It's pockets. And every pocket is different in terms of its parking problem. So, the first thing that we wanted to do was that we received a parking study, and it was quite mind-boggling in terms of the numbers and so on. And, the task was that each council member have the opportunity of reading into it and analyzing it, so we understand it, okay? And we did come to our next meeting understanding the situation. And basically what we did was that we came up with the task of creating a visual map of those areas of high concentrations in terms of parking. Now, we have, on-street parking and off-street parking problems. And again, each one very unique. The way that we have to approach this is going to have to be very systematic. It's going to have to go, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So again, it's a situation right now where we're going to be looking at best practices in terms of how other cities and how we can address the problems that are unique to those certain areas. And again, if you take a look at that study, our parking problem are varied and very unique to each area. So this is the way that we're going to have to approach it. Mike, can you add on to my?
Yes, council member. We were looking at a number of different items where we would look at possibly adding on-street parallel parking markings. Sometimes people will have room for 2 cars, but they'll park 1 car so that when their family member comes home, they can take that second spot. So what we've seen in other cities is that they'll put the little angled parallel parking markings where there could be 2 or 3 cars. We're looking at different ways of possibly amending our municipal code to see if there's any off-street parking, which would be on the individual property, to achieve any additional parking while still maintaining a good amount of area for landscape coverage in the front portion of a property. We're looking at different prohibited parking on curb returns. So at the end of corners, sometimes people will park on what's called a curb return. I think that's a proper term. But doing it in such a way that we don't paint all of these areas red and it becomes a little visually unattractive. But there's different ways that I've seen in other cities where they make it known, like you can be ticketed if you're parked in this area. It makes it more difficult when you're making a right turn onto another street. So we're looking at a lot of different areas. I want to thank Councilmember Elias, Councilmember Camacho. They had great ideas, and I don't know if our Commissioner Edgar Estrada is here still. He came up with great ideas as well. We're looking forward to the next parking ad hoc, so thank you.
Yeah, and again, just to, is the city manager around?
Yes, he had to step out for a second, but I will
Okay.
be happy to answer any questions.
This photo here, I want to ask the city manager or yourself here, has this business asked for this permit? Because as I'm seeing it here, there's no permit number, there's no project number, there's no posting of this. And the strange thing about it is that it has the insignia, the no parking, but it says Thursday, no parking after 4 p.m., Friday and Saturday, no parking, Sunday, no parking. Do we give these kind of permits? Does this outfit have a permit?
Is this in relation to the?
I'm talking about the beer place.
Yes, they do have a temporary use permit on file with the city.
For this?
Yes.
For this kind of activity?
That's correct.
How come it doesn't have a permit number on here?
We could have them put that could be put on there, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to have to question, the issuance of this type of permit, because again, as I see it, and I've been called over there, is that, they're taking up most of the parking, and that's for the churches, and that's for the businesses around there. Okay, so.
Councilmember Elias, I would like to interject in all fairness. Some of the veterans, members of the American Legion have also been ticketed for parking in that alleyway. And so it's not just an issue, as well as the residents and apartments across the street. So in all fairness, the picture of the individuals parked in the alleyway, that is not permitted by the city to block the alleyway. And those were illegal parking. that may have been from the American Legion or residents that live in the area or other businesses. So I believe, we do need to visit this in fairness to all of the businesses as well as the residents in the area and not accuse one business of all of this.
In all fairness,
and the
this issue has
American
been-
Legion, and correct, the American Legion has equal right to request a permit on any of these days on any of those parking spots. And in the past, they have requested a permit to allow parking. I remember for a band that was coming, and they were able to park on Durfee Avenue as well as use the parking at Veterans Park. So if they notify the city, there is a process. So it's not unilaterally, this business gets favoritism or that business is hated. We have to recognize that there is a process, and we have a director that can work on that. Now we have the ad hoc to address that. So I don't want to demonize one business or pit one business against the other, but I think we should listen to all and try to find a fair solution for everybody.
In all fairness, can I find out the duration of this permit?
Yes, the Director Garcia.
What's the duration of this permit?
Pardon me, Councilmember. This is a public property. It's when the city owns public property like this, whether it's a street or a public parking lot. So I'd have to go back and see if this was issued by Public Works, who normally issues these permits because it's an encroachment permit, or if my planning staff did it as a temporary use permit during COVID.
Okay.
But I will absolutely look into that.
All right, thank you. My last item is, I'm a teacher, I'm a school teacher. My student right there just, my concern, and it's been really just amplified, by the parents and everyone giving me calls on this, is the need for the city and the school district to join forces in developing a school safety program. A school safety program that's going to harden the targets, of all our 14 schools in here. It's going to take both the district and it's going to take both the city to get together to protect our children and our teachers and so on. So what I'm asking is that we take action, and call an emergency meeting with the school board and sit down and devise a plan that's going to provide us safety for our children and for our teachers.
Certainly last year, we had a joint council and school board meeting, so we can put that on a future agenda for the new fiscal year.
Certainly, I think there's a scheduled ad hoc that's going to be happening, and so maybe that's an item.
We'll discuss that item in the ad hoc. Thank you.
The problem with ad hoc is, again, you have to have the organization, and then, it advises the councils and so on. Why can't we have an emergency meeting?
This is my suggestion.
We can discuss that on the ad hoc next week, and then within that, we'll ask them what dates and times they would like to do.
Okay, the problem that I see right now is that we have a summer. We have a situation where minimum students here is that we can devise a plan and develop a plan that we can implement for the next school year. I have to repeat to you that when we talked about this thing, it's not going to be El Rancho that's going to be the easy target. The soft targets that exist right now are elementary schools and our middle schools.
We have a meeting next week, and I think that's sufficient. That's as quickly as we can meet. And then at that meeting, we will we could potentially schedule a joint meeting between both of our boards that would meet, that would be where everyone can meet. Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Today, I don't have any new business, but I just want to make commentary that today's council meeting was the most valuable and most impactful, and it makes me proud to be a resident of Pico Rivera because those seats there in that audience was packed full of residents with their concerns, and they were brought forward to us, one unified body, so that we can resolve these issues as best we can. So now you armed us with the knowledge of what we need to fix, correct, to the best ability that we can. And the other thing, my fellow council members with the rest of the staff, brought forth nearly $18 million to the community for parks and other uses. So just a big round of applause because we're going to be doing great things. When you're addressed with negative items, you work as a community to resolve them and turn them into a positive. And I know that we will all work collectively to turn it into a positive. Thank you.
Councilmember Lara.
Thank you. And where do I start? I want to start briefly by explaining what I believe my role as a council member is. I believe my number one role as a local elected official is to bring resources back to my community. Money, businesses, people, nonprofits that are going to make my community shine. I was told, and I've seen through my years in politics when I sat on the water board, it's easy to spend other people's money. It really is. It's easy to spend other people's money. So a good mentor of mine told me after I was elected is my job is to bring money to the city. And that's what we did collectively. And there's several people I want to thank. I want to thank Councilmember Gustavo Camacho. Your years of being on this dais showed. It showed me what true good leadership in terms of moving things forward is. Thank you. I want to thank also Dr. Monica Sanchez for giving us the ability to create an infrastructure ad hoc. I want to thank you for also getting on the phone, signing letters that you had to do. So this started in January, and it started because in December we got word that we had failed to secure $8.5 million for Rio Hondo Park through Prop 68. And we needed that money because we need nice things for our children. We need a new park. And I talked to Councilmember Camacho and I said, hey, let's put together an ad hoc committee and let's talk about infrastructure, but let's do a postmortem on what happened here with Prop 68. And Pam Ugar, Director of Parks and Rec, Javier Hernandez, Assistant to the City Manager, we got together. We sat in the conference room. And the staff talked about how they had applied for Prop 68 for 2 years in a row and they had been shot down. And they went back and they talked to the state officials and they said, your application was spotless, no deficiencies, but you didn't get the money. So then I asked to bring on a gentleman who I worked with and I'd seen work at the Pico Water District, and he's a consultant. And he had just pulled millions of dollars for the Coachella Valley from Prop 68. And his name is Horacio Gonzalez. And hopefully one day he's going to come and we're going to meet him. In fact, I'd like to present him with a certificate for his hard work. And he listened to us and he did some groundwork because he's up in Sacramento. And he's like, yeah, your staff's absolutely correct. They had a really good application. But unfortunately, this year, they're not going to fund Prop 68. So there's no money for parks. So he put together a plan that we directly asked money from the state budget because we knew that there was going to be a large surplus. And we needed to position ourselves, this community, for part of that money. And then Mr. Jesus Garcia came on. He's the assistant to the city manager in regards to legislative affairs. And Mr. Gonzalez put together a plan, and we would meet every 2 weeks, this infrastructure committee. We'd meet, and it always dealt with a phone call from Sacramento. What's the latest? What are we doing? And he said, you got to get in front of Assemblywoman Calderon and Senator Bob Archuleta. And those two are the ones who made it happen, right? Because that was their ask. They have a lot of mouths to feed because they represent, right, multiple cities. But we had to get in front of them. And it was working with them, It was even working with Janice Hahn, our new supervisor. You know, we'd meet with Janice and we'd say, Janice, we need you to call so-and-so, and we need you to tell them how important this money is for us. And then there was our community groups, all the letters of support. If we can go back and send them a card of thank you and let them know that they helped us get that money. There were letters of support that went out. And when I found out on Sunday night, we got a text that we had gotten $17 million from that state budget. And tomorrow, they vote on that budget and it's final. It goes to the governor and he signs it. And that money, you don't have to wait for years for that money to come through. That money is pretty much good on the spot. But in reality, it's more than 17 million. It's like 24 million. Because you see, we had set aside about 7 million from ARPA funds to fix that swimming pool. But now that we have money from the state, that $7 million is freed up so that we can do other projects within this community, right? So, you know, I just want to thank you, because at the core of being an elected official, to me, this fulfilled this part. Like in my life, like I'm good. I can walk away. I can look back and say we did something. And I just want to thank city staff. Steve, thank you for allowing us to move this forward. So that's it's hard to segue to the next one, because this one I'm going to ask for a second. But you know, I was happy to see the community come out, because Prime at its core is a community choice aggregate, right? Community. And a few months ago, I'm the one who made the comment that, you know, we should look at these religious organizations in our community, because I don't see them as religious organizations. I get it, there's doctrine going on, but there's a lot of community building going on, right? And I met with Pastor Drew and Councilmember Elias, and with Caitlin McGee and the city manager. We went out and we sat in Hope Community Church, and we listened to the problem. We saw the bills, right? We heard the issue regarding the solar panels. So we want to create solutions for our community. And we said, we'll get back to you. Let us get back. Let us do some research, right? Because the initial answer that was given to us from legal counsel was, you can't give discounts to churches, right? This whole thing about separation of church and state, right? I don't like it, but those are some of the rules in place. So I told Pastor Drew, I said, we're going to get creative. We're going to look at nonprofits. And there's 45 within the city, right? And the total amount of revenue that they generate for Prime is $120,000. Right? But, you know, so we can look at that, because it is partners. And I got the disdain from the community, you know, it was powerful. But that's what we bought into when the city went for a CCA. See, this community, even myself, we don't have recourse with Southern California Edison. You can't go before the Southern California Edison board, right? But we are the board for Prime. So the community comes to us. And there's a problem, because net metering, right? The whole changes, you know, your energy increases on demand. My wife works for Edison. I as I told Pastor Drew, I can't wash my clothes between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. because energy costs more, whether or not you have solar panels or not. So look, sorry, that was a long preface to what I want to ask for a second. I want to ask for a second that in looking at Hope Community Church and the solar panels, when 4 o'clock comes, that sun, where has it moved? It's moved on the west side. And you don't no longer enjoy that production that you had prior to 4 p.m. And the other problem why I think that these rate changes by Edison, okay, hurts community groups and churches like Hope Community, because your programming takes place after 5 p.m. All those kids that get off school, that come to your after-school programs, because I've seen it. It starts in the night. You don't have the ability to change that. So with that, I'd like to set aside $50,000 for battery storage from our budget. Because I think predominantly some of that is part of that problem is you need to generate power and save it so that when on-demand comes at 4 p.m., you're using your power and then you're net zero. But these are further discussions to be had with the council. But the first thing I'd like to do by way of process and procedure is set aside $50,000 to look at battery storage for particularly nonprofits within our community. May I get a second? Thank you. And with that, I have no AB 1234 to, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're nearing one more item. I just wanted to share, I do have some items to report under AB 1234. I just returned from a conference for the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, and that was a wonderful conference in Chicago with other elected officials. The highlight was mental health awareness as well as public services and overall well-being. And I do have a takeaway in which there are hundreds of millions of dollars available for federal infrastructure projects. We could reach out regarding our Veterans Center, our electricity. So I have a lot of work for you, Jesus and Javier and Steve and everyone of our staff. So I was able to receive some information regarding that. So let's get ourselves in those partnerships. Let's get ourselves in those queue to bring in a few $100 million more. People often ask me, if we are getting so much, if we got 11 million, 2 million, 8 million, then why is the city charging me so much for my water or my electricity? Unfortunately, we do have over 100 million, I believe, from the last budget of unfunded infrastructure needs. So when we're bringing in 2 million, we still have 98 million to go. And we're not trying to tax the residents, but trying to bring in these dollars, and our staff are really working on that. And so we've been very successful in getting in a few million, but we still have a lot of more work to do to bring a few million more. Secondly, I also attended a conference. I was invited to an educational summit in Israel through the American Israeli Education Fund that was not paid for by the city. It was funded 100% by this Israeli organization. And I had the blessed opportunity to visit a country of Israel, including the Holy Lands, the Sea of Galilee, the land where Jesus was walked and was crucified, and his tomb where he was buried, and as well as war zones along the Gaza Strip and the northern border of Syria, southern Lebanon. I am more of a local woman. I've never traveled to Europe or that area, and so I wanted to share that. The takeaway is very educational and learning what issues that our fellow people are suffering from over there, and it's very eye-opening. And it does connect to our American government and what's going on in terms of military and weaponry and just basic human rights. So that was an awesome experience. So please, I apologize if I make mistakes today. I'm still in a 10-hour time difference from Israel. But that was a great experience that I wanted to report. In addition, my last item, I wanted to congratulate our girls Pico Fast Pitch 6U team. They won the championship for All-Stars. And so I had an opportunity, yes, give them a round of applause. I know it's late, they're probably asleep. I had an opportunity to give them a softball. Part of my initiative this year is Mayor's Play Ball. And so we will be having a trip to a Dodgers game with the seniors in a couple of weeks, as well as in September, visit the website, and residents can join on a bus at a discounted rate, and transportation will be included to jump on a bus, and we're going to take a city field trip to a Dodgers game. So I want to thank the Parks Director as well as our staff for working on that. And that is it for me. With that, Mr. City Attorney, can you take us into closed session?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. Before I announce the closed session item, I wanted to announce item B will not be heard tonight. We will bring it back at a later meeting when it's ready. With respect to the item that is remaining on the agenda, it's item A, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representatives are the city manager and interim city manager, administrative services director. The employee organizations are the Service Employees International Union, Local 721, and full-time, part-time, and directors unit and confidential employees. At this time, it would be appropriate to recess and close session.
Thank you.